Hey folks, good evening. Welcome to another Money Space with me, Kalu Aja. Of course, on our space every Sunday, 7 p.m. West African time, we're talking the economy, we're talking money, we're talking personal finance. And I'm your host as usual. This week, we are going to do a review Quarter two, 2026 Nigerian investment overview. Just error there. Yeah, so we just review the market for Nigeria, essentially what happened in Nigeria, equities, bonds, look at the whole asset class structure in the country, and see if we can spot a few nuggets here and there, and also perhaps give us an insight into what we should do in quarter three that we have got in. Just before we had the space last week, we got the news Nigeria was one of the or is the best performing stock market in the entire world in dollar terms. We're going to talk about that on this space and see what we can learn from that, right? So we're going to kick it off real quick. Again, if you want to follow, we are on the YouTube and we also try to share the slides here as well on Twitter so that we have a visual as we're walking you through the data. So if you want to get on YouTube, we did share the link just before the space started. Great visuals you can follow because we're going to talk numbers. I want you guys to sort of get your notebooks out and just sort of follow, right, and then that way you can become a better informed, as it were, to take advantage of what's going on. So Q2 2026 Nigerian investment outflow, yeah. And again, if you want to request to speak, I actually just talk for about 15 minutes and then we'll let you guys hop in, and then you guys can basically have your own say. Let's kick it off. I'm not sure, Twitter is just slowing down here. I'm just gonna maybe get any fresh page here, Twitter. For YouTube, guys, I'll have it also on tap. Let's kick it off. Let's go. So I'm just gonna post the header, Nigerian investment overview. And so if you're on Twitter, you can just follow. It's gonna be just the chain of tweets I am gonna be sharing. So that way we have the visuals. There we go. So we'll share the title, and I'm just gonna share the other tweets like a trend under this so you follow. Fantastic. So let's start off with just an overview of what happened in the market, right? Let's do the overview of where the market is in Nigerian stock exchange, especially because that's where most of the excitement and most of the money is flowing to, especially on the retail basis. The bulk of the funds that we see in Nigeria flow to the money market. Money markets are almost three times the size of the stock market. That's where the bulk of the funds in Nigeria go to, the money market. But the stock markets are basically that retail play. Most of the excitement is happening in the stock market. It's a very, very sexy market. You're here in Nigeria is one of the best in the world. It's on the stock market, not in that bond market. So folks always want to know what's happening to the stock market. And always the stock markets are like a barometer, obviously, on the economy. If folks feel confident in the market, they tend to invest and buy stocks in Nigeria. One key thing to note in Nigeria is that the bulk of the purchases in Nigeria are being done by the local investors. The local investors are doing more investments in the Nigerian stock market than the foreign investors. That's the key thing to note. And that will make sense when we now talk about the returns and to explain this dollar naira returns in the stock market. But look at Nigerian stock market, I think we're doing very, very tidy. Year to date is about 41% performance year to date. Market cap has gone up. And remember, in June, we had a huge correction in June, right? Many things happened in June. The market sort of corrected. So you are looking at the market after it has gone down, still posting a nearly 50% return year to date. This is very, very impressive in any market in the world. Dividend yield 4.8. You might argue it's not as high, but again, remember you are getting your capital appreciation. So if you had bought shares in January, those shares would have done about 47% today. You would get about 4.8 dividend yield if you are an income investor. It's not beating inflation, but you're getting something. But I think the key number there is that year-to-date performance of about 47% that you're getting if you invested in Nigeria. So strong performance in Nigerian stock market, even though we had that June correction, that prices came down, right? Many reasons why prices came down, lots of profit taking. Stock price has gone up, aggressively this year. So many investors sort of took profit off the table, we have this new law that's going to come. I'm not sure if it's out yet, where we're going to have to see more volume at the lower end before the prices can go up. That might have also have spooked investors and made them basically go quickly to sell and capture profits before the new quarter starts. So again, these numbers look very, very decent and they are okay for any investor. So let's try to now look at what those numbers say if we compare them to say where we are coming from for quarter two 2025, which is a year ago. So let's compare where we are with a year ago, and let's also compare where we are with just the last quarter that has gone past, right? So if you look at a year ago, quarter two 2025, at the same time, Nigeria was doing about 16%. Now we're doing about, if you look at the quarter, about, like I said, 47%. So clearly from 16 to 47, there's been great movement. If you compare year to year, i.e. 2025 Q2 with 2026 Q2, the market has definitely broadened and has gone up. Many reasons: bank recapitalization, more interest in the stock market because of Dangote Sugar, Dangote Refineries. There's a lot of interest in the market. Also, this new frontier talk. When you put you in a frontier market, what that means is that automatically, if I am in say United States and I want to buy emerging markets, if I put $100, Nigeria will get a share of that $100 if I'm buying the ETF. So that inclusion will make stocks go up in price because there's more demand for those stocks. So that's one thing that's pushing that 14% return. Look at Q1 2026. Nigeria is also up. We're up 29% in Q1. Quarter two, we're up 47%. Quarter two last year, we're up 16%. So the trend line is up, and the trend is always your friend, right? You want to invest with the trend. So the trend line for Nigeria is up. We are not even done Dangote. Dangote Refineries has not come in. And again, Dangote Refineries, keep in mind, guys, it's going to be a plus and a minus. It's so big that when the Dangote Refinery comes to Nigerian market, it's going to pull down the index. Hear what I'm saying? You make a profit, but Dangote will pull down the index just because of the size. Because now you have a larger denominator. Not that the market is going to lose money, but it will grow slower because your denominator has gone bigger, and it's a huge gorilla Dangote Refinery is going to come in. So again, this chart tells that the market is your friend, right? If you're an investor in 2025 till now, you would have made money. So you've got to make sure you have an allocation to Nigeria. If you build this space, folks always ask, should I invest in Nigeria? And what's my answer to you? You invest when things are low, when things are bad, when things are underpriced. If you buy when things are good, where's the premium? Where's your margin of safety? I'm not asking you to go buy or sell, but I'm saying the guys are going to make money are the guys that are investing when things are low, right? That's essentially it. Olumide, hi, how you doing? Okay, so let's move on, right? Let's move on and go and look at the returns. Which particular stocks, right, did well? We've seen the 47% number, but which stocks drove it? Now, this is why I wanted to go into the stocks was just if you look at the sectors, right, that made money, what do you see? I see a lot of oil, Owando, Seplat, Aradel. I see a lot of all those guys. I don't see a lot of banks. This is just top six. The slide will take seven, but just the top six. I think we'll see Zenith. If we look again, we'll see Zenith somewhere there. But if you just look at the top holders, the guys that made a lot of money this year, you're looking at the look at. I don't want to use the word ignore, but that Zix Agro Allied, and it is just an outlier. I have to put it there because it's just so much of an outlier. But I have questions about that stock. Even the SEC had questions about them. It's a very, very small company. They are posting astronomical returns. Look at their dividend yield is zero. It doesn't mean if the dividend yield is zero, it's bad. It just means this is a stock that's moving on price appreciation. It's a farm. But investors seem to like it, and the stock price has gone up 180%. It's stocks like this that is making the index go up. I would rather sort of reduce, if I could reduce the allocation that we're giving to a stock like this in terms of the return, because it's skewing the return positively. Aradel, Seplat, Owando, Dangote, Bua, these are all stalwarts of the exchange, and you can see what they are returning. I mean, Zix is doing 180%, and Seplat is doing 19%, 122%, Dangote Cement 9%. 180 is an outlier, way out of the scene. And look at the year-to-date return. The average is, if you look at that, average is about 25% on average. Again, Zix is just skewing the data because total return for that company is 1,001%. I have to put it here because that's the numbers I'm getting, but I would say don't rely. That's an outlier. That's an outlier company. But this is what the market is right now. It's energy, it's financial services that's really driving this economy, and this is why we are now posting this high returns. Again, remember what I said: the trend is your friend in Nigeria. 05, '06 quarter one, '06 quarter two, the market has done pretty well. So you want to see if you want to get a share of this emerging market. Could be a frontier market if all things go in. So again, I now try to look at the small caps. Why? Because again, if you watch this space, you have heard me explain that if you look at Nigeria, the growth, the price appreciation is coming from the small caps, or what I would call the non-NGX 30 stocks. So if you look at the NGX 30, those are your big boys, your Dangote, your Airtel, your MTN, your RD, those big boys, that's your NGX 30. The price appreciation is coming from the non-NGX stocks, right? But the stability, the capitalization is coming from the NGX 30 stocks. So we try to look at what those stocks were doing and basically try to find out why they are moving up, because that will give us an idea of why the whole market is moving up as a whole. Again, you can see, look at Zix, Agro Allied, 800% approximate return. Even though it dropped, and I put that column there, drop in June. So what you're looking at is these stocks after they have fallen. That shows you how hot the Nigerian stock market was. Many factors made the market stock. PFAs, the pension fund admin guys, were allowed to buy or to increase their allocation to equities. These guys have got trillions in assets under management. So when they start to buy, it's clearly going to move the market up. That's one huge thing there. And again, also general, globally, if you look at the global market, right, the US market has always beaten emerging markets. I found out a long time ago, it shocked me. The US is a mature market. It should actually grow slower than a market like Nigeria. But if you look at the just ETFs, what was that VTI, which tracks about 4,500 stocks, has done better than emerging markets for a long while. The last 2 years, we had emerging market stocks beat the US market, and that was interesting. This year again, emerging markets are still beating the US market. So why? When you drill down into the minutiae of it, emerging markets is Korea. It's literally Korea. When you drill down into Korea, it's just two stocks. It's Samsung, it's SK Hynix, two chip companies. Those two chip companies together are nearly 50% of the entire cost. That's the South Korean market. So you can say the market has gone up, but it's just those two companies. Now, SK Hynix has now launched in the US, on an IPO in the US, is the single largest foreign equity listed in the US market. Single largest foreign, 29 trillion. Just the first is SpaceX. So if there was no SpaceX, let me just tell you how big SK Hynix is. If there was no SpaceX, then this company will be the single largest IPO in the whole of America, beating companies like the Saudi Aramco and all that. That's how big SK Hynix is. It's overtaking Samsung. It's not the largest company, I believe, in South Korea. That's what's driving emerging markets. So when you come to Nigeria, what's driving Nigeria? This is the point I'm making with this chart. Zix is 800%. Like it or not, Zix is going to drive the equity, the AGX index. It's going to say the market is up, but not a lot of people can tell us here what they do, right? Not a lot of people can tell us here this is what they do in that company. I'm not hating them. I'm giving you reality, right? Then we'll have Fortis Global, about nearly 220% approximate gain. This is after losing 35% in June. So strong year to date, significant drop. You have SCOA, you have Inodai Consult, you have Restar Express. These are the top 5 stocks that performed up a lot, that grew the index. But if you peel this onion back, what's the volume of these guys? What's their contribution to the NGX as a whole? These are the questions. So the market in Nigeria is growing by cash, chasing the small caps low, so the small caps that have very, very low prices and is moving those prices up. That's what the NGX saw. And just to say, listen, we've got to bring some sanity into the market. We've got to say, okay, you can't move a stock price 800% by just buying 10,000 units. If you really like Fortis, go and buy 100,000 units at a go. That will then make that price to go up. So what you might see going forward is that if those small cap rules from the NGX come into play, then we might not see this sort of returns going forward because they've increased the threshold for the price to move up. You can still have, and if the price doesn't move up, you don't get that percentage gain that we are seeing. That 800% approximate for Six Global. If you look at the volume that drove that, it's not a lot. Yeah. So this is why I picked to talk about this small cap, just to give you that sense of where we are in terms of high caps and small caps, which is better. None is better. If you're a stable guy, you want to invest in stocks and go to sleep, you're looking at the NGX30. It will give you stability. It won't go as fast. Like buying a Honda car, it will go very, very fast. But if you have a trailer is slow and steady, but you get to Kano. So that's basically what the NGX30 is your trailer. Yeah, and then the small Honda car, he says, yeah. Let me go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, make it full of good evening, Kalu. Very good presentation as usual, and it's always exciting to be in your space to share some nuggets and activities around the market. But first of all, I think when we look at the headline Nigerian investment overview Q2, that's an outlook. So I like to take people back to the historicals. I think this is the best 5 years ever in the stock market. My reasons are not far-fetched from the fact that we've made the fastest 100 trillion in history.
Yeah.
If you understand the market, when President Tinubu came to power, it was barely below 40 trillion. Now the market is moving above 160 trillion. Even if you adjust it with dollar, with the naira devaluation, eventually investing in 2023 and 2024 in any stock that is active, you will need at least double the amount. And we spoke about the fact that the NGX 30, like the quest book. If you look at the data from 2020-2024, they look very fast. You recall the price of UBA, Dangote. Dangote used to be a stock that was struggling above 500 naira. Nestle used to be a stock that was stationed below 1,000 naira. And if you look at the price action right now with Intel Africa, insiders buy has also put that stock record. It tells you that a lot of dynamics have changed in our stock market. My only problem when I'm coming to where you're going is that, while big money was made, a lot of people did not catch the trend. I think my biggest fault ever in the stock market was 2023, 2024. And I recall telling people that, see, if you miss the trade, the best thing you can do is work with investment bankers that will tell you when price will correct, go in and try to rally. Because as we are right now, the market has gone so fast. Bloomberg put out the data that Nigerian stocks are the best in the world in terms of dollar return. And a lot of people got gaslighted because they didn't understand. They're trying to mix the politics with what's going on around the politics. You see, in reality, the macros have improved. The efficiency of our foreign exchange supply, the fact that companies now are bringing out decent numbers, PE ratio, EPS, and good return on equity. Now we also see the CBN also bringing out strong compliance effort towards our banking industry. That has also increased foreign exchange inflows, FPIs, and credit ratings have also made an upward review, despite recent concerns about the fact that T1 settlement cycle, talking of MCS also. But it does tells you that people that really make the best are people that invested in. And that is why, see, Dangote was 21 billion less than 21 billion when Tinubu. Now it's about 36, 37. And that just tells you that even with Naira devaluation, a lot of people made money. So the question now is to you is that, what did you miss? And the outlook at this investment outlook is very important for people to be on this space, because for me, I tell them that, you see, I was telling some of my close friends that were rushing and buying stocks anyhow because of the run. You see, I bought Zeblat at 500 during COVID, at 500 naira per share during COVID. I sold half and I left half. And I wanted to sell the remaining when I heard about Tony buying into the stock, and I left it because I used a broker just for Zeblat. And the reason why I love Zeblat was that Zeblat was a company I saw that for them to have listed in the UK stock market, they are trying to show the credibility that not everything is bad about Nigeria. Because see, we need to also look at the fact that a lot of people now are emulating intelligent companies. We are bringing in all the brightest minds. So yes, you might have concerns about penny stocks. You might have concerns about the fact that we have some discrepancies in our market. But the reality is, I tell people, come on, stop talking about 2008 market crash where a lot of people lost money. I lost serious money in US stock market, for heaven's sake. I lost serious money in BlackBerry. I lost serious money. I have bigger cousins that lost money in Tech Bubble in 2020, in 2001. You understand? 2001, I was still investing. I have older cousins that lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But look at it now. Apple, Nvidia, these are the world's biggest companies in the world. So when you make excuses for failure, you stay in one spot. Because for me, I tell people that Nigeria still, we've not even seen anything yet.
Yeah.
Forget the fact that we have 140 companies in Nigeria. We've not seen anything yet. You know why? Because if you look at the Nigerian population, Nigerian GDP with our stock market, it's still compressed.
Yeah. Don't give us everything now. Stay around. Like I want. We're going to really talk a lot about this. Don't give us everything now. Let's do this stuff. Then come back to you and ask you some other questions. I have lots of questions that people have been quoting all week. So I want you to be here, sir, if you can do that for us. And also, yeah, and the one thing people are asking me all through the week was this Nigerian, is Nigeria the best performing market? How is it possible that Nigeria can be performing well in the stock market, but the Korean economy is larger, the Korean economy has more stocks and all that? So I did a study and I posted it on Twitter, and I'm also sharing with the YouTube guys. So let's just analyze this Nigerian South Korea. Why South Korea? Because when we say Nigeria is the most best performing market in the world, last year it was South Korea. This year also it's South Korea. What happened in South Korea in June? Their regulator said that, listen, the market is growing too fast. Literally in South Korea, this SK Hynix was an unknown company. I think it was owned by Hyundai. Then SK is like a conglomerate. They bought it, and they took a bet on making chips. And these chips are now it's the chips for the AI. The company came from nowhere. It has changed South Korean society. I read a report where, in South Korea, the way they marry is very, very funny. You have to, it's class, where you work and all that is a big determinant of who you marry. Now, the guys that work in SK Hynix are now number one in terms of status in South Korea, who they would marry. They went on strike the other day, and they've doubled their salaries or tripled their salaries. They're all millionaires. That company alone is not bigger than Samsung. When did we start hearing of Samsung? When we had SK Hynix. So let's go to the numbers. If you look at the Nigerian market, and I give an example in real terms. If you are in Nigeria, you took Naira from your bank account, you went and you bought an ETF or a mutual fund and invest in the Nigerian market. When we say the market is up 50%, what do we mean? We mean in January, you bought all the stocks in Nigeria, all the good ones, the bad ones in January. Today, in July, your return, if you used Naira, making that clear caveat, your returns will be 54%. You use Naira to buy all the stocks in Nigeria from January, July, you have 54%. The numbers are there on screen. What about the South Korean? The South Korea took its local currency, the won, and bought all the stocks in South Korea, all of them. He would be at 80%. So the South Korean market is doing better than the Nigerian market in local currency. One, that's where that argument of South Korea economy is better. That's the right answer. Yes, their economy is better. So you are going to make 80%, 80% in South Korea, you make 54% in Nigeria. Does that make sense? Good. Let's now.
Can I add something?
No,
Yeah, can I add something?
let me just finish. Okay, real quick, because the second part would explain. Let me just give the second part, then you come. Now, the second part is this: if you took dollar, if you took dollar, if you hold dollar in your hand, you are earning dollar return. So if you take that dollar, you convert it to naira. You take that naira and you bought the same thing. You bought all the stocks in the Nigerian stock exchange in January. You hold it to July. Your return would be 68%. 68%. If you do the same thing in South Korea, you take dollar, you buy one, you take one, you buy all the stocks in South Korea, your return will be 66%, which means Nigeria will beat the South Korean market in dollar terms. So what's going on here? The Nigerian market is because the naira has gained strength and has remained stable. The folks bring in dollar when they buy shares in Nigeria, when that is 4% they are making, when they convert it back to dollars, there's an extra premium they are getting because the naira has stayed stable. So it's a return on the market plus a return on the stability and strength of the naira. That's the 68% you are getting in dollar terms. You have to make that clarification. In dollar terms, the Nigerian stock market is doing better. In naira terms, South Korea is beating us. Olumide, go ahead.
Yeah, very good analogy. I just wanted to chip in a very specific definition of what you were saying. You know, when I look at the Bloomberg reports, it even erased so many advantages in the US stock market. So, for example, I just want to make use of I pay about 4 Americans in naira. I convert from my naira dividends to dollars. And when I spoke to my friends on how that has happened this year, I explained to them that, see, ignore this NGX 30 offshore index. You miss the point. If you just look at the drivers this year of major people, see, because when you want to understand stock markets of each market, you need to understand the peculiarity and the culture around the market. There's this class you mentioned in South Korea, Chabon, where certain families control certain industries. That's where you have Samsung, Hyundai, and all those things. And they make a large composition. But these stocks are saturated. And the level of growth is not like what we see. If you compare Dangote's growth now, the last 3-4 years with Samsung, you will understand what I'm saying. If you compare Boas,
are you saying it's more or less?
I'm saying, okay, now I'm looking at it from now, if I adjust it with dollar, that's another, if I adjust it with dollar, it will definitely be less. But if I adjust it with naira, I'm looking at from the value of what, and I include dividend, I think it will definitely be more.
More to Nigeria or South Africa or South Korea?
More to South Korea in dollars.
Yeah, of course.
If I'm specific, like for example, let me give you Zebra for example. And compare Samsung for example. From 2023 to 20, there's no how Samsung moved to that. There's no how. The percentage I'm seeing in Zebra, there's no how. With Samsung's current, even with Samsung's current valuation, there's no how. And you know, why I'm saying this is that people need not to be carried away with the all share index. See, Nigerian stocks are moving very fast. Yeah, but there are stocks that most of these big guys are holding that have really created so much wealth. In January, for example, just imagine, okay, the all share index will not have captured the story of Wema Bank. Wema used to be a stock that was less than £1. Now check the price action of Wema Bank. If you invested Wema when, like, you bought a property for 50 million naira in 2022, you invested the same amount in Wema, you're already getting close to half a billion naira. That's even minimum.
You're going far. Yeah. I mean, look at the slide we're showing.
I know what I want to explain things to you. From an investor's perspective, when people say all share index, we don't really invest in the all share index. For me, I invest a lot now. It ETFs now.
Olumide, I hear you, but you have to be very careful. So you see, there's no way I can know Olumide is buying, nor can you know what Kalu is buying. So the only way they can know is to say you bought everything. I get where you're going to. But I don't know what you're buying. And you are a professional. Many folks on the space don't know stock. So if I was to tell someone to go and buy stock, what does Warren Buffett advise? Warren Buffett is the best, what's the word, the best investor in the whole world. Warren Buffett says if you want to invest, go and buy a mutual fund. And this is Warren Buffett. We have to look at it. It's like Nigerian NFL.
But you can't do that in Nigeria. That's why I said if you're in Nigeria and you want to invest and you don't want to be picking stocks, then you have to go to the pension funds. We have the pension fund index, for example.
Okay.
Now, if you use that to get, because you see, like now we don't have a Warren Buffett in Nigeria, we don't have an hedge fund in Nigeria, but we have big investment fund managers. So that is what we used to track. That's what I'm telling people that see, you can't follow the same way Americans track their markets, but you will lose the bridge. Because see, a lot of people lose American stocks. A lot of people lose money in American stocks.
You got to qualify what you're saying. Again, you're right. There are two Nigerian markets. There's the NGX 30, which are your blue chips. Like you have your Dow 30, your S&P. We have it in Nigeria. Now, what we are, and the same way they behave in America is the same way they behave in Nigeria. If you buy the Dow 30, they don't change. That's why they don't, no one tracks on news Dow 30. It's not sexy. It doesn't move up and down. If you put on the TV, what do they track? S&P 500. Because it has 500 stocks, it moves up and down. So, essentially in Nigeria, the NGX 30 will not give you your 100%. This Zix Agro is delivering 1,000%.
That's what I'm
Which stock?
I remember I did a tweet when a lot of people.
Yeah, which stock?
Let me give you an example of what I'm saying now. I'll go and check the Stanbic 30 ETF that tracks the NGX 30. I remember I did a tweet and I showed people how much, and even some people in the investment community were like, no, this is not possible. And I was like, come on.
So what's the return? Give me what's the return. What was the number?
The last time I checked, I have to check my data, thousands of percent, because I own
in a year.
Yeah. I think since 2023, 2024, 2025, it has done.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying is that Seplat. Okay, Zix Agro. I don't know what that is. It's done 1,000%. 1,000%.
I'll explain what is happening. Let me explain what is happening. See, our stock market, like I mentioned to you, is not efficient. You know that naturally. And if you look at why I call Stanbic 30 is that is the most liquid stock NGX ETF to buy in Nigerian stock market. Still at that, you have an issue buying a minimum order. You have, before you sell, you have to sell. There's a minimum you have to meet before you can sell, execute, or buy. It's because I own this stock. Now, if you tell an American, for example, to buy ETF this, ETF that, S&P, it goes straight. It doesn't work like that in Nigeria. And the gaps in Nigeria, it moves faster than what you have in the S&P and do. So my argument is simple. You can't use the same indices efficiently to track US stocks and Nigerian stocks. You will always be in trouble.
Yeah, but again, when you say that, what should we? So what you're saying to me is that we should, let's check inflation.
So what
no, how do you measure inflation? We have to measure
inflation. Let me explain. I know what you're saying, but see, what I'm saying that in our market, the stock market, the uniqueness of the market, it is what defines the composition and returns of the market. You see, in the US, for example, there is no 10% minimum or 10% maximum. There's not. We don't have that in the US stock market. We don't have that in the US stock market. We have that in the Nigerian stock market. That also has some limitations. In the Nigerian stock market, for example, we know that there are certain drivers that won't peculiar stocks. It doesn't happen in the US stock market. So if you're coming and you're saying that you want to invest like that, you will lose serious money.
No, but you're making an argument nobody's making. Nobody's asking anyone to go and invest in the index or in the individual stocks.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying we cannot analyze the performance
Bloomberg is comparing the Korean index to the Nigerian index. That's the way it is done. We can't say we will not do it that way. We can't compare Dangote and SK Hynix. We have to go to the index. That's the way it's done. That's why I want to go to inflation. We can't say because in Nigeria.
I said theoretically, if you look at the beginning of the conversation, I said theoretically, when you are investing, when you look at these things, like the Nigerian stock market is the best performing in the world. Yeah, but if you go deeper, you see that there's a lot going on that is far more than the rich. That's what I'm explaining.
I hear you.
And the reason is because
I hear you. But Olumide, you are going nuclear. You have to come to NEPA. We are in Nigeria, and I'm saying you are going nuclear. You are an educated investment professional, and I'm explaining to the folks on this space that how they are measuring this thing is they look at all the stocks.
True.
That's what they are doing. We're not saying go and buy it. I'm explaining to folks that, okay, why is Nigeria? When they say Nigeria is better than Korea, they say if you buy all the stocks in Nigeria in January till June, you get 60%. If you buy all the stocks in Korea, it doesn't mean that I don't own all the stocks in Nigeria. I don't. You don't own. And Oluwa that wants to speak doesn't own the stocks as well. But that's how it is measured. So if you go to South Korea today and you only buy SK Hynix, it will beat every stock in the world, including Nigeria. So if on the flip side, they win. Because SK Hynix, again, they just launched in the US this week, the largest foreign issue in the US stock market history. 29 trillion. From who knew SK Hynix a year ago? Who knew that? From nowhere. I told you, even in South Korea now, right? They debuted a guy. The guy said he would rather go broke than suffer FOMO. So in South Korea, there are no more shares of SK to buy. What they're doing now, they are creating index that copied SK Hynix, and people are borrowing. So they have times 2, times 3, times 5 leveraged index. It's not the real stock. It's like how you do betting. Instead of buying SK Hynix, they'll create SK Hynix 1. And that SK Hynix 1 is 5 times, 4 times leveraged. That if SK Hynix moves up, it moves up but with 4, 5 times index. That's what they are doing. Not even ETFs. So the FOMO is so much. Girls are saying if you work for SK Hynix, their society is like Africa. They have this funny society in South Korea. If you work for SK Hynix, you have moved to the top of the marriage list.
It's just like
to the top. Forget even investment. So imagine Nigeria say that if you work in First Bank and you want to marry any girl, so there's not even the returns. So, but I'm explaining to folks on the space, the way they calculate this is to say, we don't know what Olumide buys, what Kalu buys. So I'm going to come and say, okay, Kalu, we're going to assume you bought all the stocks in Nigeria and you bought all the stocks in Korea. The Nigerian return in dollar terms is better than South Korea by 2. By 2. When we say better, is 66, 68, guys. 66, 68. It's not a lot.
I think it shouldn't be a lot because.
Gotcha.
Honestly,
let's get Olaiwa to hop in here real quick and just break our monotony so we can continue. Because Olaiwa, how you doing? You've been listening to Olumide and I just go on. I guess. What's your take? What do you want to? If he's still there. Oh, he's dropped Olumide. So I think that. But let's go on. Let's go on a bit more.
I think because I totally agree with you on all the decisions. But I said, see, these things are just based on Bloomberg news and based on.
We have to use something. We have to use something.
But when you look at things on the market, like when you look at things in the market, it's a different ballgame entirely. Like Nigerian stocks, for example, I tell people that most of the rich people in Nigeria right now are from the stock markets right now.
How many Nigerians own the CSCS in Nigeria? How many Nigerians?
That is what I'm saying. Okay.
So I'm bringing you back. Every time you go far, I bring you back. Tony Elumelu was my boss. When I was in Engine Stock, a guy was already buying shares. There is an index in Nigeria called the Tony Elumelu Index. He's that big. Good. Tony Elumelu, he's that big. So, but if you are on this space, you have 100K. You want to start buying shares. I would not advise you to do what Tony is doing. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have the research. You can't call a broker. Tony can call a broker and say what's happening, and the broker will give him research. Sir, they are doing this Q2. This is what they expect. You can't get that. So the way you approach the market is to first of all go as a cooperative. You go to the indexes, you go to the ETFs. I don't like in Nigeria. I don't like ETFs because they don't have liquidity.
Exactly.
Go to the mutual funds. Start there. Then when you understand the market, then buy individual stocks. That's my advice to any Nigerian listening. I won't say go and invest. You don't know these things. You don't know.
But this is my problem where Nigerians get into trouble. So that's why I said, I see, like the general knowledge is to buy a basket of assets, which makes sense because it cuts down the noise and the level of research you do is lower. But it doesn't work in Nigeria.
It does work. It works in Nigeria.
Can you explain why it doesn't work? Why can see? I own ETFs, for example. There are some ETFs that I've not been able to sell. I can share my.
NGX 30. What's it? NGX 33 is a time. What's it?
I have.
Let me get one. We're not gonna argue.
I have minimum of 5 figures in ETFs in Nigeria.
No, we have agreed. We have agreed that ETFs. I've said it here lots of times. Don't buy the ETF. ETFs
so if you tell the Nigerian to buy, you see,
we've said mutual funds. We said mutual funds in Nigeria. I've said it here.
Even mutual funds. See,
you can't sell a mutual fund.
Apart from Stanbic.
What is it apart from?
Apart from the money market mutual funds, and you know I'm saying these things because I've seen a lot of people get into trouble, into liquidity trap, and see these things cut people's percent. Let me give an example. There is a certain stock I don't want to call. That stock did 200%. Now people wanted to sell that stock. They want to sell that stock, and I told them, I said, "What's your rationality going behind this stock to buy this stock?" And they're like, "Oh, the fundamentals and everything." Then I was like, "See, before you buy a stock in Nigeria, try and look at the bid, the spread."
Who knows this thing you are saying there? You're coming back to the point I'm making. Before I buy, I've said it on this space many times. I have my 3-factor I use. Number 1, the fundamentals. Number 2, the volume. Number 3, the market. Who knows this thing you are saying? And I'm telling you again that when people want to buy, you've got to start with, in Nigeria, less than 500,000 Nigerians have a CSS account. In that 500, half of that is active. The bulk of the folks on this space, if we look at the numbers, that means that only about maybe 1% of this space buy shares. And is this people you are trying to go and look at bid and offer? Where will they see it? When the space here of education in this space, Ben is here now. So in his educational space, why do I do space on Sunday every day? When I said this, when I said this Twitter space I do on Sunday, I assume people knew. And somebody was arguing with me about interest rates and APR. And I have to walk myself back and say, no, you can't talk like this. You've got to talk from that. Listen, people want to understand. Don't assume people. What you're saying is not wrong. I'm not debating you. I am saying come back and say, if you want to start to invest, I would never advise anyone to go and buy an individual stock as a newcomer. No, you look what it's in the Bible. In the company of, what does it say in the Bible? In the company of people, there is safety. Someone should help me with this Bible people. There is safety in numbers. And that's what an ETF or mutual fund gives you. When you understand the market, then you can stretch your legs and say, okay, I want to go and buy this particular stock, or I work in this company, I understand this company. Maybe I work. Let Ben come in. Ben is here. Ben, come in. I know you are also in the market, so also come and start it. Yeah, go for it.
I just want to finalize my point that the markets have peculiar fundamentals. People understand we need to go basic, but people need to understand that, see, when you're investing in the Nigerian stock market, it's a different ballgame entirely from US stock market. I remember when we started pushing about the Nigerian stock market, a lot of people came from my head, and the reason was not that they were wrong. The reason why they came from my head was that because we had a liquidity trap, the market was very difficult to track. Now, the difference right now is that there are interest, the economy is growing, but still, you still have fundamental characters that you need to be aware of. And the first thing I want you people to be aware of is that liquidity is a very important factor in our market. Secondly, every stock don't move on fundamentals like all the things you learned in school, all this PRA, they don't naturally. By the time you get to that level, you understand. Then third, Nigeria still has more opportunities than the US and Korea. The reason is simple. See, like I said, we have less than 1 million people actively involved in the CSS. Nigeria has a population of 234 million. When I look at our stock market valuation is about $112 billion. When you look at South Africa, it's about $1.1 trillion. It just pretty tells you that if you just do a simple GDP to the stock market valuation tells you that Nigeria is so cheap, you know. So, and with the reforms and things are coming, Dangote is coming, NNPC is coming, more companies are coming, Nigerians are building companies, you know. People are now seeing the democratization of wealth with the stock market because see, Dangote has opened the window, whether they like it or not. So, it's not going to be. So, what I'm telling people is that see, it does not mean you should invest now. What we are saying is that you should look at the opportunities and see how markets bring it. That's all. Thank you, Carl.
All right, fantastic. I got two guys that hands are up. Let's start with Ben. Ben was here earlier, then go to Mr. Pero. Ben, go ahead. Is Ben ready? Ben is not ready. Let's get to Mr. Pero. Mr. Pero, thanks for hopping in here.
It's Pero. Good evening,
Mr.
everyone.
Pero, I apologize. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
The name is Peter, no Pero.
Peter,
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, it's just to piggyback on what Olivier was saying. A lot of these well, investment platforms now that have apps that's making it more democratized for everybody. They all have this. Not all. Most of them, I'll say like 90% of them have the order book. The order book is actually very, very, very important because it will tell you how much the stock is moving on a daily basis. So if you go to the stock and you go to the order book and you see that it's only sell, only people trying to sell, nobody's trying to buy, and the stock is maybe cheap or whatever the case may be. If you buy that stock, more than likely you'll be stuck with it. Mm-hmm. So that's I'm taking a walk right now. So that's what I'm so.
And also not just the order book. There are also metrics. There's RSI, relative strength index.
Yes, no, of course.
All those things.
Those are very, very, very. Yes.
But it goes
those are
back.
very, very important. Yeah, but the reality is this. If you follow, I mean, I thank him because he's one of the people that got into the Nigerian stock market like 2024. So what I've noticed is like when you've been here for this little bit that I've been here, you start to see trends and you start to see patterns. You know, so luckily most of them now have this thing. So for newbies, for people that are still trying to get a grasp of what they're doing, it's best to always look at the order book because that will give you an idea of how the stock is moving.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you, Peter, if the stock is a good stock and the order book says nobody's buying, should I buy?
I wouldn't buy.
Why not?
Because when you want to sell, you buy.
Why would I want to sell?
It's a baby when you want to sell for whatever reason.
Yeah, but the point. So my question was, there was a traffic light question where I said if the stock is a good stock. The point I'm making is the fundamentals. Start from the fundamentals. Why are you buying the stock? Once you answer that question, it helps you.
But the reality is this: you can have all the good reasons for one to buy stock, but what if life happens?
No, but life happens,
like you have to sell?
That's why you have your emergency fund. Again, we're going to financial planning.
What if life happens and it eats up your emergency fund?
Then you have to then sell.
Exactly. Thank you.
But what if life does not happen? We don't approach investing with what if. You have to plan. Like I tell people here, before you buy one stock, you do an emergency fund. Now, let's say you've done that, and I see a good stock. MTN. Let's say I see MTN. And the stock price, everybody was selling when they had their devaluation. It's a good company. They own a large part of the market of the Nigerian stock market.
MTN, that you just mentioned, it's very, 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 very.
No, I'm giving an example.
Very liquid. It's very, very liquid.
Peter,
there are not many good stocks that are not very liquid.
Peter,
even Seplat, as expensive as Seplat is very liquid.
Peter, I'm giving an example. If I see a good company that has a problem, last year when we had the night devaluation, all the multinationals were bad. All the multinational companies were bad. They all had negative price returns. Nobody was buying. Everybody was selling because they had an event, devaluation, that drove their stocks lower. And I'm saying, if I buy that stock, I'm buying the stock because the fundamentals, the long-term earnings of those stocks are unchanged. It's unchanged. Nextly, MTN, it's unchanged, but there's an event that is today is causing their volumes to drop. So I'm saying when you want to buy a stock, the first question is, why are you investing? If you are a trader, volume is the most important thing you look at, not even the price, the volume which comes to your order book. If you are trading, you want to scalp, you want to buy at 10, sell at 12. Volume, RSI, those are very important to you, the technicals. But if I am buying for my pension, I'm 25 years old. I just got a job in the bank. I'm buying to invest for 25 years in my PFA. Why am I caring about the other book?
Kakalu, let me add what she's saying so that we said so. I totally.
I would love an answer. I would love an answer to that. Why would I care?
Yes, I want to answer that question. So for me, like, I would tilt towards Peter, and I'll tell you why. So what he's simply saying is that, see, I know what you're saying, that long term, but
I'm not saying long term. I'm saying you objective investing. If the stock is good,
yes. Then, see, in Nigeria, if a stock is good, it has to meet at least some level of liquidity requirement.
Okay.
Do you know why a lot of people lost money with Berevu, for example? You think the fundamentals were not good at some point? We think people did not hold on for some time. And let me mention
tomorrow. I cannot sell Berevu till tomorrow.
Let me mention something because you see, let me mention certain stocks that had good fundamentals. People went for 5, 6 years that they couldn't sell. No, you need to understand Nigerian stock market. You need to understand Nigerian stock market. You know, it's just like, see, it's a different animal altogether.
You guys are making it like it's not a different. It's the same thing. It's a market. It's the same rice, tomato market. It's the same as stocks. There is no difference. Volume, earnings, pricing, demand, scarcity is the same thing. We use bigger words. We use more sophisticated words. It's the same thing. Demand and supply drives prices. Volumes drives prices short term. Earnings drives prices long term. There is no difference between this market and market where selling spare parts. None whatsoever.
Right now, if you look at BUA foods and BUA cements, they are basically stuck in this liquidity trap that everybody's talking about.
Okay, so if I buy BUA for myself and I'm buying this stock because I said I want to own this stock to provide my retirement, it's my retirement long box. What's wrong with that?
That's up to you. But personally, me, I wouldn't buy BUA.
Exactly the point I'm making. That's where exactly my point, Peter.
What I see with regards to how
exactly my point, Peter.
On a daily basis, you have like 3 million people trying to sell BUA cement, trying to sell BUA foods, and they are not able to sell.
And you are not wrong. You are not wrong. But the point I make is you've got to ask yourself, why am I investing? Once you answer that question, then it comes to you. If you are investing for short term, don't go there because you looked at the holdings. BUA is owned 90% by one guy. 90% by one guy. So if you're a trader, more than. I just want to be if you're a trader and you look at the volume, you say, "Oh, I'm not going to go here." But if you're a long-term guy, what the heck? I mean, if he holds, I hold. Both of us are diamond hands. That's the point I'm making. So let's not make blind. I'm trying to say that there's no difference. It's not the market that's the problem. It is the investor in Nigeria. Most folks are buying stocks without understanding the DNA of the stock they are buying. I've separated NGX30 from NGX for a reason. And I'll tell Nigerians, if you want price today is 1 naira, tomorrow is 100%, don't go to NGX30. BUA is NGX30. You don't go there. If you like you said, you now buy your Wema, your Presco, they are not NGX30. That's what will go up. If you don't understand the stock, you can't blame the market. That's the point I'm making. If I'm a long-term guy, okay, you want to hold for 30 years, I can follow you hold now. 2 of us to hold. Won't you give me dividends? Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Oh my, are they? Oh, yeah, Ben. Yeah, okay. Ben, go ahead. So, but what of my favorite stock? I don't want to call the bank. The best stock in Nigeria last year was NCR. The best stock in Nigeria last year was NCR. NCR 8,000% also return. It's not an NGX30.
No, that's not NGX30.
Look at the WhatsApp. Look at this one on my. There's Fortis, there's SCOA, there's Union, there's Resta. They're not NGX30. Look at their returns. 800%, 320%, 280. Compare that with what I did, the last slide I shared, where you had the top stocks in Nigeria. Look at Aradel. What's it been? 111. Compared to 800%. Look at Steplat, 95%. Look at Owando, 78%. Dangote Cement, 62%.
But the problem with some of these stocks that you're mentioning, that even with your higher, they are still liquidity traps. Because at the end of the day, you might not be able to sell.
Yeah, but then
again,
we're going back to my question. Why are you selling? Why are you selling? if you get in because you want to buy and build a portfolio, then why are you selling? So that means if I want to buy, I have my portfolio, my trading portfolio. Let's get Ben. I hear you guys. I'm arguing against you guys. I hear you. Okay, go ahead.
Whatever I said before, Ben, if you look at the US stock market, the graph has been up, right? Even Nigerian stock market at some point, Nigerian stock market is more cyclic. And we need to also understand that the economic power of an average American is stronger than the economic power of an average Nigerian. And average Nigerian is looking for quicker options for capital appreciation.
Bingo.
They need money go, and so people have the capacity to hold. Like that's why you see.
So the issue is not the market. It's not that the market in Nigeria is different. The market is the same. It is the Nigerian investor that is coming to this market. No. The market is this is the point I'm making, sir. The market is the same, but the American investor is coming to this market knowing what he wants. The guy is coming to market. So how many people have asked you, give me a stock to buy? How many people have asked in your DM, only which stock should I buy? Are they asking for stock to buy for 10 years? No, they want to give them a stock that you buy today and they'll sell tomorrow and make 10%. That's what they're asking you.
But can you differentiate between US stocks now? US stock can do 40% in a day.
It's the same thing, okay? It's the same thing.
A Nigerian stock cannot do 40%.
It can do the 10%, Abi. That's something now.
It can do 10% in a day.
So the market. You are missing the forest. Look at the tree. I'm saying the market in Nigeria is not the issue. The investor that comes to the market for long term and all is looking for short term is the issue. You've said it here. People come to the Nigerian market and say, I want to invest, I want to make a profit, I want to pull out immediately. Let me add you as host before I get kicked out of here.
I want to say that not everybody, but
no, of course not everybody.
We're all looking at the market. We're all looking at it daily, and we're all looking at. So what brought us here was the fact that about the order book. It's good to know what your stock is doing. It's good to know if your stock is liquid. It's good to know if it's not liquid. It's good to know if it's, and then sometimes when you like some people like this thing you keep mentioning. Zikis was going up from like
what does Zikis do? What does Zikis do?
Yes, it's a
farm.
Me personally, I will not put my money near Zikis because I don't trust the company. I don't trust it.
Because what they do?
I don't trust it. We saw it. Hold on. We saw it go from like less than 1 naira and all the way to 3 naira to 5 naira to 10 naira, and it was basically when you look at the order book, you couldn't even buy it. Nobody could buy it.
What? For some reason, price on them.
Zikis was actually hold on. The NGX actually kicked Zikis
exactly
for some time.
Exactly.
You know, and then they came back. So like there's even among retail investors, we say there's a term say that shall not be Zikis because you don't know what's going on with Zikis.
Thank you, Peter.
See, this bad things also happen in US stocks. It's not that let me explain this to people and say bad things happen in US stocks.
Yes, so US stocks can figure your head very, very much.
Do you know how many times I've been bought stocks in US stock market?
But only the biotech, you've already called it biotech. You called it biotech. But that's biotech. Biotech is high risk, high return. The market. So the point I'm making, and again, folks, I don't want to stand on. So what I'm just trying to say is this, right? There is no difference with the Nigerian, South Korean, or US market. There's none. The difference is the investor education. I'm looking at this page here for whatever I want to find out about the US stock, you tell me. Whatever I want to know. Who is buying, who is selling, directors, Nigerian, you can't get this kind of information. You cannot.
You can. We have software. We can.
Let's get Ben. Ben, hop in. We'll keep Ben. Join the conversation. We got Brain. Ben, go ahead.
My friend Kalu.
How are you, sir?
Olumide and Peru. Greetings to everybody. Let me just chip in on what you guys are discussing. Kalu, you kept stressing on, the fact that there's no difference between the markets. I tend to disagree, I see your point, that structurally markets are obviously they are stock markets, they have a lot of similarities. But you have to understand that Nigerian stock market still has some liquidity issues, that you probably wouldn't find in a first world country like the US stock market, or like the UK or some other country that is kind of more advanced. I can't speak for South Korea because I know that even South Korea, they have like 2 or 3 companies that
just two
are like the anchors of that market. I can't speak on their liquidity because I've not really investigated that market, but I'm sure it will be a little bit better than Nigeria's because I think they're ahead of us in classification.
Yeah,
We are now ascending to compete with them. To become frontier markets. So,
but let me land. But let's not make it like I'm comparing America. When you say liquidity, that's also an American thing. If you're an American investor, you can get credit and liquidity, irrespective of the stock market or insurance market or bank market. So I'm not saying. Let's just okay.
Let me learn. You see, you have to look at when you look at our markets, we are not as strict as we are supposed to be when it comes to free float rules. The current free float regulation, as far as I'm concerned, is terrible.
Agreed.
Current free float regulation, that 20 billion or 40 billion and the minimum of 20% and minimum of 5%.
Good point.
It's messed up. We need to increase the free float because if there's more free float, there will be more shares for people to buy and sell and trade. And now this is where we are seriously lacking. We don't have banks that are big enough to make the markets. I keep saying this everywhere I go. We don't have the market makers we have in this country. What CHT, Cardinal Stone, Sambic, and those guys, they are obviously overstretched. So we need more banks to bring more capital to say, look, we are making this market.
Is it capital or offers? Is it capital or offers? What's the issue? Is it the capital or paper? Bring offers to the table. I mean, there's money.
It's not offers. Let me explain this. You see, the role in a market like this, at every point in time, you need somebody to sit down and say, anybody we want buy, I will buy from you. Anybody we want sell, I will sell to you. That guy who sit down in the middle of the market, that's his job.
But in Nigeria today, we don't have the supply. We don't have the supply.
Let me land. Please, let me get your salam to land. You can see what you want to see. It's a very risky position today and it requires capital, it requires risk management. This is what the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanleys, what do they call the that guy? The POVs. There's somebody I'm missing. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman,
State Street.
The US markets to enable you when you buy a stock and you want to sell. Chances are in the US stock market you will see somebody that will buy that stock for you, or you will be able to sell the stock. You need a market maker. And market making requires capital, requires risk management. Right now in our market, our free float is kind of low, and we don't have enough market makers to ensure that these liquidity issues.
The issue is the supply.
Ben come in that part. So what I agree with Ben, what he said about I agree with the point that the SEC Nigeria should also create a forum for market making. I think that it's not as bad as it's not as heavy as if you look at Binance, for example. Now, Binance is one of the most liquid crypto exchanges in the world.
Market making on NGX.
Yes, look at Wintermix. What I'm saying, if you look at Wintermix, for example, it's a fairly new market making. And you look at guys like Jane Street, look at guys like folks on.
Olympian Peter, what's the free float for Boa Foods? How much of the stocks are available for you and I to buy? Free float or Boa Foods?
Who is the worst?
Give me the number. Give me the number. Give me the number. No, give me a number. No, just give us. I want to put up understand what you're saying.
It's 3%. I think it's 3% of
it's about 5%. So when Ben says that the issue is the market maker, there's only 5% to trade.
I know.
Did you hear me when I also started saying the free float is too low?
I hear you, but I'm saying that in the end, you can only trade when there's supply.
But let me tell you the honest truth. Do you think that Dangotes and Rabiu will be? You see, when I ask people about why is it that the float is there, it preserves their wealth.
Yeah, but it's wrong. Then they should list.
I know. That is why I said that there are not things foreign investors are finding out, and the NGX really need to take on because it's really not a
okay.
When a billionaire is holding.
Okay, let me ask you a second question. What's the free float for Boa Cement? 3%. 3%. 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. 3. So how can you when we become frontier market, where is the stock the frontier people will buy?
That's not that called frontier market. That's what they're not in the emerging market. That's not a frontier market.
Oh, but where will they buy the shares now? Where will they see the shares to buy?
That was why I was telling people that Dangote Cement will not list in the UK or in the US. For that Indians, people they didn't understand what I'm saying. I said, see, you are talking about SpaceX, and the reason is that if you look at the category Dangote refinery listed, it's under utilities or energy, right? And you look at it, there will be floating requirements.
Okay, let me ask you, just for the float listing, what's the free float for Dangote Cement? 11%. So you see, it's a lot better. That's why we'll talk of Dangote Cement.
The best are Nigerian banks. That's why I'm telling you.
I think the minimum should be 20%. See, that's what I think.
If GT, Zenith, UBA, they list in the US stock market, I still believe that their valuations should triple. And I believe that if the most valuable ones they list, their valuation would suffer by 2/3.
What's the free float for MTN? 22%. See what we're going to with this? 22. Now you can see what's happening. The Nigerian guys are keeping their shares in their pocket. Are you seeing what's happening?
MTN is tricky. MTN South Africa was about 2/3.
Yeah, but this is free float. This is free float one they have in the market. Yeah. Let's do Zenith. Let's do Zenith. A bank owned by a guy, owned by a guy, but it's quoted. Free float is 34%. 34%. So it looks like it's a Dangote and Bua issue, where they have come to the market to say that they are public quoted companies, but they don't bring shares to the market. They are not bringing shares to the market, especially Bua. He's not bringing shares to the market. So he can say he's a quoted company, he can raise capital cheaper, he has the prestige in Nigeria, but he's not bringing shares to the market. How can you have 3%?
They are using the market as a valuation stamp, as a stamp
to enter Forbes billionaire list.
As a stamp on the valuation, so they can access private equity. Imagine.
Okay. All right, guys. Hang tight. Let me finish my presentation. Hang tight. Let me go to fixed income. So we had stopped at the Korean one. I had talked about why Korea and Nigeria, who was doing better. Let's come to the fixed income space in Nigeria, right? And what I've done here is I've listed out all the fixed income in terms of returns. And I've also given the risks and what you can get, right? So T-bills, that's your section. T-bills about 18%, money markets 17%, bank deposits 15%, bonds 19%, USD 8%, but it's in dollar. Again, the issue here is the liquidity. If you are saying that life will happen to you, you should be doing fixed income, not equities. If you are saying, I repeat, if you are saying that life will happen to you, if you're not yet sure, you never hold yourself well, you should not be buying equity. Equity is not the market you can say your rent is due in 1 year and you have the rent today. So you want to go and buy shares today because you want the money back in 1 year's time. That 1 year, by the 11th month, your money fee waka. That's equities for you. So don't say you have life, then you go and buy. So I'm sharing it again for you guys on here so you can take a look at it. It's just, it's basis, again, averages. You've got to go to your individual bank and ask for the rates. But the point I'm making is that if you compare in terms of yield, you are looking at your need for liquidity, not the actual yield. If you need money,
I don't think there's any bank deposit that is giving 15%.
Well, go and ask your bank that. I know, but ask your bank that. So if you want to do bank, it's give you a lot more liquidity. If you want to do T-bills, it's very, very safe, very, very safe, very, very liquid. As you go on federal government bonds, they pay you well. They are not liquid. So the point I'm making is just be aware of liquidity needs. Then I also try to do this chart again. The next one is just to say, hey, let's do this one. Again, I've ranked this asset class in terms of the risk.
I wanted to add something before you
go ahead. Go ahead.
So like the risk Carly mentioned, many Nigerians unfortunately will not be able to access treasury bills because of the minimum requirements, even from primary and secondary market. So the simple thing I just tell you is that don't feel bad. You could also get an average from
money market,
20%. So there's money market funds. Yeah, I think Stanbic is the country's largest. They manage over 2 trillion. But their percentage is quite is lower than average in the industry.
Yeah.
The last time I checked it was 15.13%. The average money market fund is giving you 70%. And interesting, Nigerians are going to places like Piggy Invest, and I think those people also have built their credibility. And since Yeah, they have subsidy license, CBS subsidy license. I think it's also good. So people need to understand that for you to access certain assets, you also need to look at your liquidity power.
Yeah.
Because you are not worth, you don't have $1 million liquid. Please don't think about treasury bills. Your bank will not overside.
Do money market, Abi. And like you said, those guys are doing very, very good rates. And it's a Nigerian guy that is even in dollar. You know, I know. Did you see my X money thingy? I got an X money card.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
Which is almost the same.
6%.
Family gives me 6%.
In dollar.
Can you imagine?
But this one there, yeah.
So public is 6.98.
What X did, right? What X did? They gave me the card, right? Then I have an account there to save money, and I have an account to spend money, and they pay daily. So essentially, if I put my money there, I'm earning 7%, but but I can spend the money. You see the difference?
Wow,
I get 3% back.
But is it open to Nigerians?
Yeah, I'm in Nigeria now. I think it's just.
Is it open for people?
Yeah, I think it's just.
Nigerians living in Nigeria.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be. It's just your. I think it's just your whatever your. If you are, that's why you have to be on their, what's it called, it premium first of all, and then they want us to try it out, that kind of stuff. I've been seeing the news. It's open. It's
the X savings account.
Correct. It's a savings account, it's an investment account, it's a checking account, and it's also, so when I go to the store and I spend, I get 3% back. Very, very high. If you put money in, plus, it does wire. It does wire. There is no fee. It does direct deposit. So you can hook your paycheck to the card.
Yeah.
So very soon, I can send Olumide money on on money. I just send Olumide to his username without paying a fee.
That's nice.
There is wahala coming. So banks Nigeria, get yourself ready. There's stuff coming. People are not going to wait for it. You know, this is what this man wanted to do. The Instagram man wanted to do Meta when he was doing his Meta money thing, but he didn't have political power.
Yeah, power.
Now,
that's what I'm saying, that they might fight it too, because look at what banks are doing to Seco and.
But Elon is Trump's friend. That's the difference.
How does Trump go to state power?
Once he gets in, it's hard to stop it. If he gets it into the bloodstream, and folks can get monies without paying a fee. Imagine what he's saying. That, in America, right, they have what they call payday loans, where folks go and take loan on their paycheck, and it's very, very stupid interest rate. Now, if you imagine he starts to do this, and people can get this card, get their paycheck 2 days early. So if you use this card, and your paycheck comes on Friday, you can get your paycheck on Wednesday with this card. So you can get your paycheck early, you spend in the store, you get cash back, and you're investing the money. So if people get used to it and you can transfer money without paying the fees, like Zelle and this, then it's hard to remove it. The problem with the Instagram guy, he never got into if Instagram has started, no one will stop it. So, but very interesting. Very interesting.
Do you think it's going to be when? You remember Apple Card? When spoke about Apple Card.
Of course, because Apple is just what I think is looking for Elon.
Apple Pay now, which is
Exactly. Elon is integrating everything into one app. So remember, how many extra are there globally? Money transfer. Look at it, if Elon starts to do money transfer internationally, and I can send money to whoever in Nigeria on his card, his Apple card, because the card is just a physical card, but I have a digital card as well. So on my phone, I have a digital card and I have a physical card. So in Nigeria, you can get those cards instantly on your phone, on X. And you can pay for foreign goods from your phone. Remember, you are paying your subscription. So X will pay you subscription. Look at what the Nigerian will do now. You do X, whatever, you get paid. The money goes to your X card. You use your X card and you then pay for stuff abroad. Don't you see what's going on? These guys are going to get money in dollar terms on the card outside the financial system.
It's a big project. I'm just concerned about companies like Lemfi, all these Nigerian.
He's targeting them now. He's targeting them.
Yes, because it's like they are naturally looking at investments in those places. Like if I'm an investor there, I'm obviously just nice because that leverage is because that leverage is huge. And like you said,
And remember, X does not own anything here. X is just a platform. If you look well, you see the bank he's using. He's using the bank in America. He doesn't. There's no X bank. He's using a bank in America. So for the guys in if Piggy Banks goes and let's say Bamboo goes and Mark talks to him and he says, okay, we're going to sell Nigerian stocks on extra Bamboo. Boom, you're in. Let's close out with this chart now. We'll get you guys to speak. King, I see you. Let's look at this chart. I put this chart on purpose, right? Look at the chart, Nigerians. I put it here, asset class comparison. I'm trying to use it to say, listen, when you want to invest, compare assets to assets by risk and by objective. If you look at the first one, equities, it's beating inflation. So if you bought equities in Nigeria, you are beating inflation. No story. But your risk factor is there, 7. So it's a high risk play to beat inflation, 7. Look at money market. You're not near inflation, but your risk factor is 2. Look at bonds. You're beating inflation, but your risk factor is 4. So you're not 2, you are slightly higher because bonds can go up and down with interest rates, right? But then you're also beating inflation. Look at US dollar assets. You are protecting your value. It's also risky because dollar can change and you can also lose those funds. Look at Bitcoin. Strong gains, strongest gains. It's even beating inflation, but look at the risk factor there, 9. High reward, high risk. The point I'm making this slide to the folks listening is that when you want to invest, you've got to ask yourself that question: what's this investment for? What's my appetite for risk? How long do I want to stay in this asset class? Is that drives where you go and invest? Which means if I have my rent money, I shouldn't be buying Bitcoin. But if my uncle dashes me money and I go to a party, gives me $100, and I just want to just play with it, I can go and buy Bitcoin. If I lose it, no problem. But then if I'm on the middle of the road, I'm doing a portfolio that's mixing equities and bonds. Remember that you've got to invest according to your objectives, not according to the returns that you are seeing. Right?
And I'm happy you mentioned Bitcoin. Remember when we spoke about people need to not be carried away with Bitcoin astronomical run and the fact that the assets have not gained that wide stream. Remember this concern. I think I'm happy that I highlighted this because one of the things about many Nigerians is that we are very passionate about we treat financial assets like relationships. Like, oh, this is my boyfriend, this is my. And to be honest with you, I understand that, but it's very important to have a flexible perspective. A lot of people, I feel so sad for them that missed the Nigerian stock market that are not coming in. Was because many of these guys, I remember they were saying, tissue paper, Nigerian companies, tissue paper, things like that. And, you know, the people that got rewarded are people that had to say, yeah, Nigeria has problems, but see, the fundamentals are not that bad. Look at GT, look at it, and now, so I look at Bitcoin now. I would never believe that under President Trump, Bitcoin will lose half of his value. You know, this is a cryptocurrency, so things can change. People need to understand that. And that's why I recommend. That is why I recommend stocks to people. That's why I understand because I'm not advised to do that. You know, you need to have people in the room. Every day before I
you know what's killed?
I still talk to investment bankers. I still talk to same professionals that license. So, Carlo,
you know what killed Bitcoin? If you guys can go back, I saw that interview. I'm surprised it didn't pick up in Nigeria. They were interviewing Bassett. The congressman asked Bassett, Scott Bassett, is there going to be any opportunity where the U.S. Treasury will ever rescue Bitcoin? He asked me a question, and Scott Bassett did not answer. It was from that interview the Bitcoin never recovered. Because what was going on in America was that they were going to create something called the Bitcoin Reserve. I'm just giving the story. And if they had created that Bitcoin reserve, what would then mean is that because it's an asset on the balance sheet of the Treasury, then Treasury would implicitly guarantee a price. So if the share price goes below 100, Treasury will say, oh, we are buying Bitcoin to take it back to 100. Because it's a limited value, limited number, Treasury could do that because then they will make money when it's up. Then they will sell just like they do with equities and bonds. So that question was loaded and it was on purpose. And the man was saying, don't ask me, I don't control Bitcoin. He said, no, I want you to answer. And eventually Scott Besson said something about, no, we are only dealing in financial asset. That's what killed this whole Bitcoin thing.
And
Trump tried last week, and Trump said he loves crypto because his sons are doing crypto. He said, I love crypto. Crypto went up in price a bit.
Yeah.
But unless something happens, unless they go and pass, I don't know.
Let me add something to it again. You know, like these things you mentioned, you also need to also look at it from a wider perspective. Acceptance. If central banks globally were using Bitcoin like El Salvador, I think even if the fact that the USA put it on the reserves would have been better. You look at Binance, for example, in Europe, they didn't give them the MiCA license. So, and Binance is one of the biggest crypto companies in the world in terms of volumes.
So are we done? Are we done? Is this crypto thing over? Are we?
To be honest with you,
He can't go further.
I feel that
you guys are scary enough.
I feel Bitcoin will remain. I feel that
at what price though? At what price?
That's what I'm going. I feel like because if you look at my altcoins, for example, altcoins are coins other than Bitcoin. It's in a solid state. In fact, some of them are below their the price they got introduced to the market, the IPO, and it just pretty tells you that the market is living on a world of.
I mean, this guy is selling. Michael Saylor is now selling.
Yeah.
So if Saylor is selling, the whole strong hands, diamond hands is gone. He said. So his
explanation is that he wants to put his investors, but everybody his investors are not interested in the asset class again.
I listened to a podcast and they were saying that the guy is in serious trouble, that the Fed is going to come after him because they put a video where the guy was comparing Saylor's MicroStrategy reserves. He was comparing to treasury bills. He was saying that these things are like, and instead of video. So now who that invested were investing because they were saying that these things are safe as treasury bills, and people went and invested. That's why he's paying dividends, because if he doesn't pay dividends, they're going to roast him alive. So I'm just asking, what should we do? We didn't put crypto up here, but if you're a crypto bro, should we hold?
Crypto is just too risky nowadays.
Let me say something about crypto.
Sorry, Ben.
Please just give me just 1 minute.
I just want to point.
I don't say you people I
want to add this. If Ben, if the market, I think what we just want. I just want to put a line on this definition. Bitcoin is not a bad asset. The crypto asset was not a bad asset. There were reasons why Nigeria invested in crypto. But this is my problem, and this is what I want people to understand, and this is what makes America America. We need to have a mentality where we don't marry a financial asset, where we don't think that things move in absolute terms. If you look at gold, for example, even this year at some point, gold started melting. And I think it's very important because one of the reasons why Nigerians lose money is not because they are not knowledgeable. A lot of Nigerians are smart, they're intelligent, they really want to grow, they still want to take the risk, they're bold, but they see things like as if, no, this is the one that will make my destiny. They are not God. The reasons why we're talking about investment is opportunities. If, for example, I knew Bitcoin would lose half of its price, I would have taken a $1 million short. Do you know how much I would have made? So the thing is that it all boils back to the fact that you have to try what does the rich people do. That's where the question goes. Now in Nigeria, most rich people invest in the stock market. Then they use their businesses, then the stock market, then they go into real estate. In China, it's different. In China, it's the real estate, then the stock market, then they have this thing. In the US, of course, it's the capital market. You know, so you have to ask yourself a question: what have you learned from this? So for me, my take is that we are still going to see a lot of pains ahead, and people will be used as scapegoats. So it's better you start to understand how markets move and stop marrying assets because of beauty. Nigeria stuff too beautiful now. Remember, I'm the same person that tell people you have to be careful because I know there are a lot of outbreaks. Look at what happens around their energy in the span of 3 months. A lot of people bought homes at 2,000 naira up, and some people have already lost millions, and the market has not even collected. What happens gets to $50? Have you asked yourself that question? Thank you, Carlo.
Peter, Ben, you have
let me just piggyback on Carlo. Please, let me just give me 1 minute. Let me just piggyback on what he said. On Bitcoin. The marriage that people marry Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin was marketed as some sort of a libertarian, product that will give people freedom over the system. You know, so there was an evangelical aspect to it. But if you assess it logically, fundamentally as an asset class, you will see that yes, it's a unit of accounts. It's as a medium of exchange. It's heavily limited. It's heavily limited as a medium of exchange. It's not everywhere you can use Bitcoin to buy things, and we see that is gradually improving. But as an asset class, as an asset class that you would invest in, there is no upside to Bitcoin. It's not going to move upward in a structural direction that would make you put your money in it. So my view on Bitcoin generally is that it has reached its peak. It would remain, but it has reached its peak. It will just remain another alternative asset that is on the side.
Wow.
And then maybe gradually, as the medium of exchange becomes more spread, like if people start accepting it more, then it would like have a sustainable path to the future. But as a speculative asset that you see I want to invest in, there's no upside for Bitcoin. There's no reason that will make Bitcoin move to 200,000, but there's no fundamental reason. Don't
Just
believe
scarcity.
any story that anybody will tell you that you're going against the system, you have your privacy. When Bitcoin started, they were running around saying that you transfer Bitcoin from wallet to wallet and they won't charge you. Before you know, charges came in. So I think it's high time that people stop believing this marketing.
People that bought at 120, they'll be crying for you right now. People that bought at 120 at 110.
Ben is killing us. Ben
I'm
is killing
of
us.
that asset class.
Ben
And that will never be accepted by the government.
sell at a loss.
The main purpose of Bitcoin, let me round by saying this, the main purpose of Bitcoin was to show the whole world the masterful technology that is called the blockchain. Right now, if you know what they call SWIFT, which is the communication system that the entire banking system in the world uses, right now they are working on SWIFT to incorporate the blockchain. Bitcoin was just a use case model to show the entire world how that blockchain technology is the way forward. That's all. That's all. That's very big.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Okay, you will see that. Because stable coins will come in and the stable coins that will now move forward.
If Apple and Microsoft tells you that they are going to Bitcoin, what do you think will happen to the price? Never say never.
What is the strategic reason? What does Microsoft have to gain from Bitcoin? Let's start looking at it from now.
Okay, why is Tesla holding Bitcoin?
Because he bought it far back, Olumide, far back. He hasn't bought again. He also bought the Shiba Inu. Has he bought again? No.
No. Let me tell you why Tesla is holding Bitcoin. Because Tesla,
Elon Musk. I'm talking of Tesla. That's Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon bought a long time ago.
Tesla came out. Tesla was marketed with this similar narrative as Bitcoin. Oh, we are going against the norm. We're going against the system. So they are holding it for symbolic reasons. I don't think they have any strategic reason for it. It's just for symbolic reasons.
Let me tell you what I'm saying is. You don't say this now.
If you understand what they call libertarian political whatever, I can't remember how they describe it. You will see that that's the movement behind Bitcoin.
Okay, I'm going to add a Bitcoin guy to come and attack you.
I don't want to get into trouble because
Let's just hear the case.
When I wanted to invest, I
Let's hear
studied
the
Bitcoin
case.
right from the origin.
All right.
When that mushroom seller, it was the one that popularized Bitcoin. He was selling mushrooms to bigger. I studied it. I saw that this thing just
Mushroom seller here. Okay, let me get to.
That's how Bitcoin became popular.
Let's get to
Somebody was using it to sell drugs.
Tolu.
Online, yeah.
Tolu.
Let's
get Tolu Berry. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Happy Sunday to everyone.
Happy Sunday to you too, sir. What's on your mind? I know where you're going to. What's on your mind?
So I just want to chime in on what has been said. A lot has been said and it's very valuable. And I just for disclosure, I've been in the crypto space since 2018. I own some Bitcoin, but I agree with the fact that this could actually be a different one. Because if you look at the caliber of people who can buy Bitcoin now, it has to be corporate and sovereign nations. So, given that retail can no longer afford, to buy a whole Bitcoin, with the present financial situation, the fear sentiment, the lack of liquidity in global markets, generally, I think there's a lot less case. But we don't know what tomorrow can, if the global reserve currency explodes, definitely Bitcoin can, quadruple in a very short span. But
given the circumstances based on what we know right now, I think Bitcoin will consolidate for a couple of, let me not say years, but for quite a number of months into the future. But what I want to speak about today is something that may be in your blind spot, and that's the fact that it looks like there is a concerted effort to select some cryptocurrencies that is going to be used for global cross-border payments for the whole world, and that currency is Stellar, right? So Bitcoin is decentralized, and it has a cap, 21 billion cap. It's not very good as a currency for global use. But you see, I've been following the actions of those in power, and it looks like they're settling for Stellar. I would encourage everyone.
To looks like you're marketing something. I mean, who is Stella?
No. I'm just telling you what I know, and it's not even advice. And in the next 1 year, Stellar is 18 cents today.
Yeah, we've heard of that before. But I mean, I'm looking at the major Bitcoin thing. I don't see Stellar. I see Lana, I see TRX, I see Doge, I see ADA, I see BC.
It takes some time to research it.
Yeah, but it should be here. What I'm looking at is where the ones that are it's not here.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
Yeah. We're saying our house is catching fire. I say we should build DQ and join.
No.
One BQ, one small BQ in the backyard like that.
All those things are Ponzi schemes. Global financial system itself is on fire, but people don't know yet.
How is it on fire? How is it on fire? Dollar is up, gold is down.
The US finance is dead. Interest only with 24 billion every week.
Yeah, they can afford it. They're the US, they can print it. That's not new. There's no point. We make this point over and over and over. The US can print this thing. There's no issue. Yes, but we've had this. US has been printing money since Qatar, since Vietnam. They've been printing money since Vietnam War. I'm telling you that I know better. I'm telling you now.
Because the risk has not materialized, does not mean that.
When will it materialize? When?
And you can leave US. Can you look at what's happening in UK? Can you look at
UK? Nobody's holding pounds in foreign reserves.
Don't say I don't hold.
Nobody is holding pounds. UK is small nyash. UK is small nyash. France is small nyash. You can't compare those guys. Yes, France is small nyash. Who is holding francs? Who's holding francs? Who's holding francs, Mustafa?
See, if you look at what is happening in China, Japan, do you see the carry trade? Are you seeing the carry trade?
There's no carry trade now. It's gone. Japan, they have raised rates.
We're coming somewhere. We are coming somewhere now. It's gone. Now, look at what's happening in Japan. Look at what's happening.
What's happening? Tell us.
In the Chinese market, what I just wanted to amplify is that while it's understandable that the US is the evil currency and they use the dollar to pay back their debt, it doesn't really show, and they have that currency ammunition. Many countries don't. We have a global debt issue. If you understand what is really happening on the UK economy to Europe to Asia, there's a global debt problem. In fact, many pundits have highlighted the fact that the next market crash is going to be very painful because where it's coming from is definitely going to come from the debt market. And it's already showing that.
I understand what you're saying.
Of many countries.
I hear you, but the point I'm making to you is this: if there's a debt crisis and the US writes a check, what happens? The check will clear. That's the point I'm making.
What happens when? What happened
during COVID? What happened during COVID? How much did they spend?
In your analysis, don't forget international relations and geopolitics when you're talking about debts, countries owing countries. Don't forget that. If you don't add that to your analysis, then you're making your analysis being very limited.
All right. So
let's take US and China now. China wants to have US debts.
You need to watch what the central banks are doing.
Tolu, I hear you. Tolu, I'm not trying to be petty. I'm not trying to say that we're in trouble with Bitcoin, and you are saying that they're going to leave Bitcoin, Ethereum, SRP, Solana, and go and do Stellar. Stellar, who is Stellar? They're going to go and do a new one. I don't think so. This thing is dead in the water.
That's very, very high risk.
It's dead in the water. The issue is not Stellar. The issue is that the Bitcoin Act has not passed in the US Congress. If that act has passed, the Bitcoin will go up. It has nothing to do with the crypto, whether it is Stellar or Shiba Inu. Nothing's happening in the US Congress. China has, or do you know what China is with crypto? If the US today, if we wake up tomorrow, like Lunde is saying, wake up tomorrow, we hear that.
Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
No, hold up. If we wake up tomorrow, we hear that.
Yeah, I think I have some network issue.
No, hold up, man. If we wake up tomorrow, we hear that the crypto law has passed US Congress, has passed US House, right? And that the US wants to do strategic Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin is going to go 200,000. Because you can see where it's coming from. The demand is coming from something. But now we don't have anything we can hold our hand to. We don't have any law. Trump is not bad. Trump has done, him and Melania has done their token, Abi. They've made their money. They've moved on.
Chopped their money.
Now moved on. His kids have sold their Bitcoin. They moved on. So they don't. I mean, we're holding the bag. So something. Is JD Vance a crypto guy? No. Is Marco Rubio a crypto guy? No. Trump is the only crypto guy, and this was the best bet for crypto to pass with Trump and the second guy is a crypto guy. He was put there for crypto. That's how they pushed him. All the folks, his sons are crypto people. His sons, I don't know, man. I think it's gone.
I think Trump killed crypto personally.
You can't sell crypto to a Congress.
Trump does not care whether it is crypto or not crypto. Trump just cares that his people are happy, and they were not able to pass it in the House. Trump can't go and force them. Look at the House is dysfunctional. They can't pass anything. They're all broken into. Okay, if Mandami comes in and says he likes crypto, it will help. But someone else apart from Trump, because you guys think it's a Trump thing. So anything Trump does America, they say no. If Trump said he likes dollar, they'll say they don't want his dollar again. So if somebody else comes and says he wants crypto, maybe to pass. I don't know.
If you look at that fundamentally,
That's an extreme thing.
but you can't sell crypto to a Congress. Governments don't like things that take control from their hands. It's too fundamental. You can't miss that point. Governments, that's why China hates it, because China is obsessed with control.
Okay.
Every government is obsessed.
Do you know that there's a bill?
If you're selling crypto to them, they will not be happy that you're taking out control from
Let me tell you.
So you can't make a case for crypto in a Congress.
There's a bill in the US now. It's called the housing bill. It was passed by the Democrats and the Republicans. Trump has refused to sign it. In that law, they put a clause that the federal government of America can never hold up. Let me land. Can never, in any way, shape, or form, pass a central bank backed currency (CBD). They would never. US would never, ever, ever do it. So there will be no central bank backed currency. I suspect that's why Trump is not signing it, because his crypto boys have told him, if you sign this, if there's no CBD, then how do you now stake? How do you peg? How do you now have an official peg currency that you can refer the Bitcoin to?
I follow that this weekend. I was not surprised when JP Morgan
No, but I'm just saying. So if that law does not pass, if that law doesn't pass, then you've killed crypto more and more and more. So whether you call it Stellar or Nega, if that law is not passing, it's not going to go anywhere. That's the real thing. We need something else to push.
I agree.
Let's move on from. It was a good shot. We tried. I'm not saying no. I
Governments are more interested in stablecoins than
but-
in control.
You omitted one asset class that a lot of Nigerians like. I think it's something I also
Which one, sir?
like
Please.
to talk about.
Oh, please go ahead.
Real estate. You know, like if you look at the interest in real estate, the average Nigerian naturally likes real estate, and I understand. You know, historically, our parents they believe that houses, land, and latest news from Jumia coming to commercial real estate is good, but you know, it's a question I brought on the space because I also want you to talk about it since you are both in one of the most sophisticated estate market on earth.
I'm in Abuja, so I don't know.
When you look at the property, for example,
Is that not even in New York?
I'm in Abuja. I don't know what
you see property, for example, like sells for 400-500 million.
Yeah.
And you look at almost a similar property, one hour away from Paris, almost the same price.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Texas, you look at the decent neighborhood and get it. Carl, the question is, what is really happening in Nigeria in the stock market? Should people, because the question I was asking, let's be calm. You know these things, like when you came back home, look at development and look at the population, look at the way our real estate is poorly planned, look at beggars in their key. When you remember we saw beggars in their key, remember we saw many things that were surprising. The rich neighborhoods were like, is this thing happening in the rich neighborhoods? So
only the point is that
what's the problem with Nigerian estate market?
we're building the wrong homes in Nigeria. And I'm going to give you with data, not with just information. Nigeria has a company called, a federal company called Nigerian Mortgage Reinvestment Company. So, you know, you can't have a mortgage scheme without a reinvestment bank or company. How it works, when I take a loan, right, this mortgage investment company is supposed to buy the loan from the bank immediately, freeing up the bank's capital. So in America, you have Fannie Mae, you have Freddie Mae. All these loans that are issued for mortgages, the banks don't hold them; they sell them. You sell them, you release your capital, you make your fees, you move on. So there's a demand by the banks to build and finance homes because they're not going to sit on those loans. Nigeria didn't have us. Nigeria said, okay, we're going to have a mortgage finance company. Mortgage finance company is in Abuja. That was under Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. I remember when they did the ROI, where they told Nigerians what sort of homes, I think what sort of homes they were trying to finance. The demand is in 2 and 3 bedroom flats, not duplexes. The folks that need homes in Nigeria today are the 25-year-old boy that's got a job in the Zenith Bank. He's got the rent, he's got the cash to pay rent, but he has no homes. In Nigeria, your bankers live in BQ, and it's a thing of joy. If you go to Abuja, you will say the BQ, that's where your bankers live. When I mean bankers, are your supposedly highest paid workers, just normal workers. Your coding people live in someone's BQ, or they're sharing a flat with 6 people and they're sharing the rent out. Because we don't have 1, 2, 3 bedroom flats in Nigeria. That's what we need. We don't need duplexes or bungalows. Look at what they're building under something renewed hope. Is bungalows. We're wasting land. You need to go and put 8,004. You build 8,004, one of them, every 2 or 3 years, rent will fall, the supply, the rent cost goes down. So we're building the wrong homes in our data. If you don't build those kind of, like a high rise, it's difficult to securitize that and to sell that mortgage off. We don't have mortgage in Nigeria. So it's all about the money. Go back and fix the pipeline. Fix the mortgage refinance. Pencom has done their bid. They've said you can use 25% of your RSA towards a mortgage. That's a big help here. So if you save money in your RSA, you save money in your bank, you can go to the mortgage company, you have almost 50%, right? You pull that money out, you put as a down payment. That mortgage company should to go to a bank and borrow money and build a house and give to you and do rent to own. So you are paying rent to your own home. That home is building equity for you. What's the collateral? The home. When you retire, it's yours. There's a difference you pay, but you have your own home. It's not rocket science. It's what they do here now. It's what they do in America.
Yeah. But another problem is that look at pricing properties. Okay, look at present prices. Let us understand that.
Yeah.
And look at the fact that it discourages even our ownership for even Nigerians in diaspora. So don't you think regulation is going to take that?
Yes, I agree with you. But what I see the comment doing wrong, and it's on the podcast show, is to say, pass the right laws, look at the value chain. You don't build homes by mortgage companies or by builders. You know, Nigeria current developer. Developer can build homes in Nigeria. It is the financial sector that builds homes. When a developer sells a home and he doesn't have the cash, he has a letter from Kalu saying, I want to buy this home. I work in this company. I will pay you rent for 30 years. That is money. The developer takes that letter to a bank and says, I have money. I want a loan based on this letter. The bank will give the developer money. The bank will then take that developer's loan, go to Nigerian Mortgage Finance Company and sell to them. You see the chain? So what happens? The developer has cash, he builds the house. Kalu stays in the house. Kalu pays rent. The developer takes rent, gives to the bank. Bank takes rent, gives to the mortgage finance company. That's how it's done globally. In Nigeria, we're saying the developer will go to bank and borrow money at 30% at interest, and then you will build a house that and next year the house has gone up by 40%. Then who will pay the rent? That's why developers are only building 5-bedroom homes that they will sell to rich people. That's why Abuja today, you see lots of estates locked up. Locked up. They're not interested in rent. I just put you to bench money, to pack money in. So if you go back and you unravel that value chain and you say we're going to fund 1, 2, 3-bedroom flats, you do it. I wrote a paper on real estate. South Africa, Singapore, look at the built homes. South Africa built homes after apartheid, right? They just said you can't make a profit from home building and have affordable housing. One must go. You can't say as a government you're going to make profit from real estate and you build affordable housing. One must go. One must go. So in South Africa they said, no worries, if you're going to build 10 homes, you either will build 4 that's affordable, or you give us the money to build 4 that's affordable. So they'll give you the developer's license, but you must have something. Even in New York, look at the Stuyvesant apartments. It's in the middle of New York. It's rent controlled. How do you want people to in Lagos? How will people live in Lagos if rent every day you see rent is going up, up, up? How are they going to afford it? Have salaries gone up? How would you for what? For rent? 15.
Yeah, 2 bed. Yeah, 2 bed.
Who's going to afford that?
Lagos report, Lagos real estate report, the Buddha report. I looked at the rent, and that's why I now understood why a lot of Nigerians are miserable about.
How can a banker believe in the BQ? 1-bedroom BQ, self-contained. Banker is manager. When I'm talking bank, I'm talking of a guy that's worked 5, 6 years in a bank.
How much is a manager earning in a Tier 1 bank in Nigeria?
By that status. That's a funny condition. But that answers your question, really, because the same Nigeria built First Stack. We built 2004. We built Gwagwalada. Why did we stop?
There's no continuity. You mentioned, if you look at First Stack now, First Stack is like a sorry state now. Now, the attention is going, if you look at Lekki now, the attention has gone to Eco Atlantic.
I'm just laughing at Eco Atlantic. I'm laughing at Eco Atlantic because Eco Atlantic are like Nigerians that believe that they can build a wall to separate themselves from the poor masses in Nigeria. So we're going to move to Eco on the Atlantic. We don't even have CFO. We are on the Atlantic. You are on the mainland. It's a lie. They will follow you there. You can't build an island of prosperity in a sea of despair. You can't build your own little island and think, no way. What was Ikoyi? I was going to go in 1980s. Ikoyi was 2-lane, trees, quiet. You'll be as scared of making us Ikoyi. 2-lane. That means 2-lane, trees everywhere, only homes in Ikoyi. Today, Ikoyi is like you see someone doing video shoot. Yeah. Ikoyi everywhere is skyscraper everywhere. We'll spot skyscraper. So you can't run away from poverty by going to build your own rich enclave. But Lagos should have gone, right? Just demolish an entire, maybe like what demolish everything, start afresh. You say, I'll demolish your house, I'll leave it 2 flats for free. Just demolish. What you don't have transportation, Abi. So there's no, instead of building all these rails that will take you from the far place, okay, go somewhere in central Lagos, right? Who owns this land? I own this land. I own this house. I have that little small skinny homes they have in Lagos Island. Okay, we're going to demolish it. You own 4 flats, we'll give you 8. Then you build like 50, whatever. People live there. They work in the banks, so that you've removed more need for traffic. You create an economy just under that building. But I don't think we have to think longer than what we're doing now. Everything is 4 years. I don't know.
In Abuja, right? What do you have to say about this claim that there are over 450,000 empty houses in Abuja?
Yeah. Yes, in Abuja, literally in front of me, there's a skyscraper. In Wuse, I think the exact location, but I'm not trouble. I saw 3 skyscrapers in Wuse next to Supermarket, very, very popular. They've been locked up for nearly 20 years. The man saw comes there, there's a Ferrari park there. That's just a bank account. So instead of them putting money in the bank account, they build a building and they lock it up. Didn't you see what this popular guy on Twitter that showed there's a video of a popular housing estate in Nigeria that's locked up? Did you see it on Twitter? It's in Abuja. It's on the main road. Whatever. Beautiful estate. It's locked up. One is going for 5 billion.
Do they borrow against those houses or something?
No, they have Naira. They have Naira. Then it's inflation hedged savings account. So you take a billion naira, you build a house estate. Next year, inflation doesn't affect it. If no one lives in it, it's brand new. So there's no depreciation in terms of usage, but the value keeps on going up. If you want to take loan, those guys don't need loans now. But you've got to. I don't know how to.
But they will have some maintenance costs to at least.
But they have money now. It's not you. It's they have money.
Small money.
So again, the demographic of how we live in Nigeria is really off. Well, let me give you guys a good business idea now. If you're in Nigeria and listen on this space, I've said this thing many times. Nobody's taking off. Yeah. In America, right? If you are old or you are infirmed or you are disabled, you are on social security benefits. All right. The social security benefit is going to pay you from $3,500 to maybe $6,000. This is dollars. They're going to pay you. In America, they have what they call home care or family care. What's the name of that? Family health care. Where in your own house, because the government would you set up your house, you build your house to accept a patient, usually an older person or an infirm person. The person comes to your house, they live with you. The government will pay you that $2,000 or $2,000 to take care of that old person. You cook, you feed them, you take care of them. You're not a doctor. So if anything happens, you call the doctor. So it's cheaper for the American government because they can outsource that care to you. No, here, old people here, they don't say they're still in care homes. Now, many people I've seen the Thai people do this, I've seen the Vietnamese people do this. When they get old, the Vietnamese government they come back home. They build them homes in Vietnam with their social security money. And because they are paying them dollar when you convert it, imagine if you come to, forget Lagos is expensive, come to Abia, not even Aba, you go to Ohafia, and you say, I'm going to build condo, 20-foot condo, because they're old people with lift. You hire one nurse per flat. You put one nurse per flat per condo. You are charging, how much is rent in Ohafia? Even if you charge 2 million naira, you add nurse, you add doctor in the building, you add you're going to take care of their feeding. How much will they come per flat? In naira, it will reach 5 million. Meanwhile, they are paying you per person nearly $5,000. Many old Nigerians want to come back to Nigeria, but they want to come because they want to go to their village. There's no house, there's no water in the house, there's no power. You can build that community, you pay the youth for security, you will feed them 100% care, they're in a good environment, they know where they are. You will clean out. Yeah, home health care is a massive
homes, right?
Old people's homes, infirmed homes, family care in Nigeria. The costs are 1% of, and they are going to pay you in dollar. You know that you will register. You see in Ecuador, in America, if you go to Ecuador, they use dollar. They are living in America. The old is too expensive. They go to Mexico, Ecuador, Costa Rica. They go and live there because their social security checks are in dollars, but the dollar's value is going down. In Nigeria,
you get more value in Mexico and Ecuador.
Exactly. So imagine now coming to Nigeria, not even Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt. You go to your home, you go to your village, and you set up a bungalow, 10 bungalows. You put camera. You come and market it to the Nigerians here. Either the Nigerian wants to go back home, or his kids here want to send their father back home. Many Nigerians are here. They have the money. They want to go back. But what will they go back to? There's no social security. There's no Medicare 911. So you create your 911. You put the ambulance there. You put the nurse there. The doctors are good here. You buy the drugs. They can talk to them via video. You've solved a problem. And you create employment at that local level. You hire security. You hire 20 men to guard those people. The whole community will be, that's where they eat from. The farmers will cook organic food for them. Even though it will come. So many things that we look at as advantage. We have a huge advantage in Nigeria as our low cost. Huge. I don't think Chinese guys come to Nigeria because labor in China is not expensive. They've lost their labor advantage. So if you are making socks in China and losing money, there's no more advantage for high labor costs. But Nigeria, miles of unemployed people. So you got to take this thing. This is one that I've seen because they will pay you this dollar or whatever. If you call a Nigerian here living in America and ask them about family care, home care, they'll tell you they do it here. So if someone will go and crack this code, you go to Texas or Atlanta, You say, I want to move to Nigeria. Don't tell you, okay, this is what you have to do. Have a home that is this quality or that quality. You do it. Even if it's not the US government paying you, just target the Nigerian families that want to come back home. It's right there for you, man. Right there for you. All right, folks. Let's start to wind this baby down. Within the oil price 76, should we be worried? Ben, Peter, are you guys still there? Okay. Oil price is 76. Iran is bombing. Is it good or bad for Nigeria?
Well, it's bad for us because at the end of the day, it's good. When oil price goes up, it's good for Nigeria, for the federal government. So when oil price goes up, it's good for us.
So Dangote,
for the average Nigerian buying for us.
Dangote is looking. Dangote is already laughing at you guys. So we expect Dangote's price to go up because I'm thinking the oil price now is 76. 76. So that means oil.
But I think I don't think it might raise up the price of products because even at 76, even at 87, I think it's still making a claim. Because compared to how it was when it got to like 120, when it was one price was 120, and the maximum got to was like 113 something. Right now it's like 1,100 or something, almost all over the place. In Benin here, I am is like 1,175, 1,150 at the MRS, which is like their own their outlets. So I don't think it might go, but you never know because this might still happen. If it's still, so I hope he doesn't have to do that. But when I saw Iran bombed again, my heart beat because I mean I run the business. I know the cost of diesel.
But it helps our stocks. It helps our stocks because now, because we're picking Korea.
It will help our deals.
And it will help us the dollar, to help the naira, naira will get stronger.
Peru, I think that it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, of course, it's a double-edged sword.
Of course, that is the whole problem of the regulation. It's a double-edged sword. Good for the country, bad for us.
But how can a country say they want to be a $1 trillion economy without having power supply? How is that possible?
It's not possible. It's not possible.
It's not possible.
You run a hotel, Abi?
Yes, I run hotels.
So what's the cost of diesel to your total cost in percentage terms? Is it like 10?
Truth be told, diesel cost has crashed significantly even for my hotel. Why? Because there's no power. We now have we get like 23 to 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, so and that's been the case for the past few years. So come in. I'm supposed to come my office. But in my business, my other business, I have restaurants, and that is on band A, but not on dedicated band A. Like the hotel now, what they call 33 kVA. So that in that one, like I said, that's what we get. Sometimes we can do like 1 week, 2 weeks of straight power. But at my business, which is still on band A, but I get between 20 to 24 hours a day. So in that one, there's a cost of diesel. When diesel goes up, I sweat. when I saw that,
like they're bombing.
Yes, I'm sweating again.
But is it 10, 20? It has improved, but so it has reduced your cost. I mean, like, where are you?
Yeah, well, now, okay. I would say it was about 30% of my cost.
Wow.
When it was at the peak. But before the war happened, it was like 10% of my cost. Before the war happened, 10-15% of my cost. But this literally basically went times 2. In price.
So all things being equal, it's about 15%. Or if everything was just normal, it's like 15%. Power is 15% of your cost. That's a big improvement.
Yes. But no, that is on diesel. Light bill went up because of the band A.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking total.
It's I've not done the full mathematics of it, but with when we have a lot of power, when I get like in a month where I'm spending little on diesel, my cost from power is like about of power itself, as in from BEDC, is about 15% of my cost. 15 to 20% of my cost. Yeah, it's quite high.
Is it difference a lot? Is it a lot?
Is BEDC power cheaper than diesel for you?
Yeah, that's what
It's cheaper. Of course, it's cheaper. Of course, it's
like
cheaper.
how cheap? How is it like?
How cheap? What's the margin? What's the margin?
If I was gonna run only diesel, it would probably be like times 3 times 4.
Oh wow, that's it.
Yes, if I was going to run only diesel, it's going to run times 3 times 4, and that's just on the diesel though, because and you know when you run only diesel, that means you have to spend more to repairs, on servicing, on
yes, exactly.
Yeah, so all the costs come in. Yeah, so but with power, the power situation has gotten a whole lot better. I jackpot that 2006. I came to Nigeria in 2006, and I've seen the steady improvements. But don't get me wrong, it was like stagnant from 2006 to like 2015. But by 2013, 2014, it got worse. Then by 2015. 2015 was still bad. It was, I think, by 2017, 2018 that it started climbing up. And then by 2019, that's when we started really seeing 23 hours of lights. And that's when I built my house. When I built my house, I was getting about 19 to 20 hours a day. So that's that. Then they dropped again. Then now that we have band A, with band A, I'm getting minimum 18 to 20 hours a day in my house.
I get 21 hours over a day. You know, so the way from what I can see in Port Harcourt, if you're on band A, rest assured they're gonna get power supply at least 18 to 21 hours. Rest assured.
So Peter, come back. Peter, what about solar? Why aren't you doing solar?
Yes, okay. For like some of my outlets, some of my business outlets are fully solar. Fully. I have 3 branches that I don't even work with. There's no, I don't pay light bill, I don't pay diesel bill, I don't pay, they're fully solar. But my biggest branches to go solar is a whole lot more expensive. So
when you say branches like fast food, something like that.
Fast food, yes.
What's consumption?
What's the solar? How do you compare the cost of solar, running solar, as the operating cost of running solar compared to BEDC power supply?
Solar is cheaper now. It's just the original cost that is very high.
Yeah.
No, if you ignore the fixed cost I used to install.
It's almost free now.
Far cheaper.
It's almost free now. Like there's one branch a branch in the way it's called Akbava. That one basically, we've already made the money to cover the capex.
Wow.
The original, yeah. So basically, right now it's like free electricity.
Peter, let's talk about consumption.
Quality of the power is enough to carry the load that you
carry everything we need to carry, because the base closes at 7 p.m. So the battery only gets to really stress itself between 6 and 7 o'clock.
Peter, how much was the capex? How much was the capex for one location? How much was like the average capex?
The last one we did was about 9 million, which is the most expensive. It was 9 million. Yeah. So that's but in that branch we've not seen about it. We've not seen 50% of what we put in there yet. So, but it eventually will pay for itself. That's the fact that we don't have to worry about diesel, lights, all of that. It's a big win. We're even looking for a means to get some solar and put solar for some specific parts of the hotel so that it can reduce our cost. Because our light bill in the hotel, the average is about 9 million naira.
Wow.
Average.
A month.
Yeah.
A month.
Wow.
Okay, Peter. In terms of consumption, like when we hear there's no consumption in Nigeria, figures are bad. Just food. Are people coming to buy food, drink, just discretionary spending? What's your take on that?
In Benin, that's where I can speak on this. It might be a little bit anecdotal, but it's where that's where I am. That's where businesses are. Our markets. There's a little bit of a quote unquote ashawo involved. Ashawo meaning cost the clients want to go to the newest, shiniest, and brightest place. So those places get to enjoy a whole lot of patronage. But all people like us that have been in the game are like our team is about 22 years old. We've been in the game for that long.
22.
Yeah, so 22 years old, yes. So we there's ebbs and flows. Like a lot of our business comes from corporate clients. Like I think our clients include MBDC, which is NEPL now, Halliburton, Coca-Cola, MBO, Guinness. Yeah. So with those we get consistent British Council, GIZ. With those we get consistent. Yeah. But if say we want to look at regular Benin City customers, most of them want to go to the shiniest and the newest. So they will probably just say they don't want to go to our place. They want to go to the newest one where the things are shiny.
Did you sell like rice?
Blowing fire.
So let me ask you, did you sell like rice or like meat pie?
From a marketing perspective,
I need a restaurant. No, Ben, hold on. Did you are you selling rice or snacks?
We sell food. We sell in the hotel. In the hotel we sell all kinds of food, from local to continental to international.
So how much is a plate of rice, plantain with goat meat, maybe a small beer? How much will that cost me?
That should run you somewhere between 15 to 20,000.
What?
Very decent.
Is that a lot? Oh,
that is actually very okay. Because if you go to some other places, like all the Chinese places I just mentioned, what you just mentioned, they run you somewhere between 40,000 naira.
The place where you went in 2024, like
that bill was. I want to save that bill. We were four of us.
I will eat a very good meal in Paris. That bill.
It was 110,000 or 130,000 for 4 people.
There are places in Benin here. There are places in Benin here that's for something small you'll be looking at 130,000 naira. There's a place we went to. One place called the Fretty Cafe. I went with some friends. We had a shisha and we also had a tea and one spring rolls. One set of spring rolls. Our bill was 135,000 naira. In Benin here.
Mr. Perry, you said that if I come and eat rice and chip, I will pay 15K. So so students can afford this 15K like a student can afford. It's cheap.
The price is going up 15K compared to others.
Wow.
Compared to others, it's quite affordable because
you still get people complaints.
I don't know why you're eating in the hotel.
At the 15K, 20K, you still get some customers that complain that the price is too high.
Let me compare. Let me compare. It sounds expensive to me.
I've been serious in GRA.
That's nice. Generally, that's.
So 15K divided by 1/4.
In dollars.
Yeah, that's about $10.
It's not that
That's buying McDonald's burger. Can buy McDonald's burger.
Wow.
No, McDonald's burger is cheaper than that now.
Yeah, I think with $4,
It just sounds a lot.
When I was inside that year, when I was quite broke, we'll buy that cheap $1 burger. We buy that cheap $1. What's it called?
I used to buy rice for 200 naira. So when I hear 15K, it's shocking me. I'm not.
Yeah. But on the other hand, this is what you have to understand too. On the other hand, the salaries, our worker salaries have gone up over like 100 to 120% within the past 2 years.
So like what do you pay your receptionist? What do you pay your receptionist?
90K. 90,000 naira. Okay, so yes. The waiters are getting paid minimum wage. But hold on, this is where it gets interesting. Those 2 years ago, those salaries were 30,000 to 50,000 naira. You understand? So nowadays we as in there are places that are paying higher. So places are paying receptionists up to 200,000 naira. I think it's Protea in Benin. The Protea pays about 150 between 150 to 200 for receptionists. So yeah, we're local people.
How many guys do you have? Are you employing?
About 100.
Wow.
About 100.
Good job. Good job. Well done.
Good job.
Well
No,
done.
we've been doing this since now. That's why sometimes when people talk, I'm like,
Good, nice one. Good job. Let me ask.
Sorry,
Well,
I wanted to ask a question. Do you run
go for it.
in your hotel? Do you run the other services? Because you made mention of a food service where you sell food to your guests and whatnot. So I wanted to ask, do you run those services separately? For example, an hotel, like you said, you guys have been struggling with the next shiny hotel and all that. How customers might prefer to patronize your competitors that are newer in the game because they have much more fresh amenities and whatnot. So, do you run, for example, the laundry part of the hotel business, the restaurant part of the hotel business, the entertainment part of the hotel business? Do you have like a separate? Do you run them separately as separate business lines? Perhaps do you?
No. They are all part of the hotel, but they are all run separately within the hotel. Within the hotel, like we have people managing the restaurant. There's the restaurant manager, or F&B manager, and F&B supervisors. Yeah, and then like just like that, each then they all contribute to the head at the end of the month when we do our reports.
Yeah, because Benin has this whole diaspora community that's also in Benin. Benin, Lagos. I would have loved somebody like like a boy, just to get that sense of just a total local market, no foreign. Benin is a very, very foreign market. You know what I mean? It's a lot of folks that come in here.
There's a lot of us that are abroad, so one way or the other.
A lot of cash coming.
For example, now in my house, there's 5 of us. 2 of us are here, 3 are abroad. So that's how it is in most houses. Like
so Christmas, you are fully booked out in Christmas, something like that.
Well, it used to be like that, but now there's a mass saturation of hotels in Benin. There's a massive saturation of hotels in Benin. As I speak to you, there's probably like 30 hotels being built at different stages of completion right now in GRA, not even outside GRA.
I know Benin GRA.
When you go outside GRA, it increases. We are quite saturated now. But when I came back 2006, there was like less than. I think we're the first new generation hotel when I just got back then, and I basically took advantage of that, used that to do many things.
What about where was your financing from? Was it money you came back with, or you took a loan? How did you finance it?
For what? No, my family, we don't do loans. It's like my family has been in business for decades. So
it was family and friends.
It was no, not family and friends. It's their hotel. I work for my folks, my parents from the hotel.
I saw it.
Yeah, so I'm the one. I'm the MD there. But when they had businesses, and then the businesses expanded into the hotel. But for all intents and purposes, the hotel became the biggest business.
I see.
So yeah.
I see. Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for sharing with us. I mean, lots of folks are listening. I'm getting some comments here as well.
Family business is a very good. Yeah, family business is a very good way of.
So are you guys going to list? Let me ask you, Pero. Are you going to? Are you? Has it even crossed your mind to even do listing, even if it's the lower exchange? Has it even crossed your mind ever to list this business in the stock market?
I actually have. It has, but there's still some things that there's still some T's that need to cross and some I's that need to be dotted. But it has, especially now that we are seeing the benefit of listing and the access to the capital that comes with listing. I mean, if you get the extra capital, you can actually say you want to spend more to make it more flashy and everything that you want to do.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Sorry, let me just ask me a question. Before even listing, have you ever considered the private equity, as an option before you list, or even not listing, but as an alternative option? Because private equity can help you expand.
That's like partnering with an existing equity. Like
what private equity guys do is we come with capital and we inject capital into the business and we take an equity stake and then we improve the business and then potentially list it. When we list it, we exit. Or when we
we can send it to another private equity.
Then we'll talk to Facebook chats.
All right, guys, fantastic. Thanks. So, I mean, it's been just good way to end out the space, just to hear from someone on the ground doing the underground things and hearing his perspective on power, employment, even if he wants to list. I think I loved it a lot. Last time I was in Nigeria, I went to the market, I went to the shop. I was so taken aback by the salaries people were in. I saw these kids that were working in the hotel, they were being paid 30 grand. I saw a security man. I have the videos. I went 2 a.m. Don't ask me what was in 2 a.m. 2 a.m. I was at the gate of the place, and I asked the security guy. They are paying 20K a month. What's the most you spend? The whole money goes on food. He spent 21K on food. So why are you working? Oh, when he comes out here, people dash them money. So the dash is nearly all those money is nearly his salary. Yeah. So what's he doing? He's in school. He's learning POP. So he just takes his salary to eat. He lives with his brother or whatever. And it's funny because he can only sleep in the day.
But if he gets good at their POP thing, there's a lot of money there. Like,
correct.
Yeah. Money, handwork.
Yeah.
Some people that are doing handwork are making more money than people that are.
He was very. He was
making more money than
yeah. He was very channeled. He was like, I want to learn this.
Every single technician that I have makes more money than corporate guys, because they are not only technicians for me. Like, for example, now my AC guy, I pay him 8,000 there.
But I see.
That's my AC guy. But he's not only my AC guy. He's my AC guy. He's also like AC guy for like 10 or 20 other hotels. So by the time he finishes work for everybody, he only got nobody's taking home. He now has 2 cars from doing AC work. Yeah. My plumber, same thing.
I get it, but let's be honest. I think what we tend to miss when we see this narrative is that the gap has widened. Because look at the NGX, for example. If you pick Zebra, for example, gross minimum 3 million naira per annum. You pick somebody from LNG, for example. You look at what they are even earning compared with somebody in KPNG UK, for example. You look at the differential, not so much. So the gap is just few people earning exceptionally well in Nigeria, and that's the problem.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
In LNG, I saw a guy's face that was on Twitter. The LNG pays you money for new car, so you pay 50% on a new car. They give you loan 50% on a new car. Let me get Buddy real quick. I'm about to end. You hand this up, Buddy, real quick. Buddy.
Thank you. Yeah. For the last speaker, I was saying something about him having a solar grid without power. I want to confirm something from him. With this current rain in Lagos and Edo State currently, how do you cope? Because I have a solar system of 20 kVA. I have batteries, but for the past couple of weeks, there is no sun. How do you now cope without power? Without
it's working. For me, well, I know that there's days that is not, there's less sun, but it's working. I mean, the most we do is because it's a cold food business. Like, we sell a lot of buffets, juices, and the rest. So and then worst come to worst, we just turn off one fridge and use one fridge. But the AC is on, everything is on.
You do load shedding, right?
Of course. I mean, when there's a whole lot of sun, we can turn everything on.
Because I could remember, like in February, March, April, you can just do everything on your AC, on everything. But with the recent rain and weather that is happening,
it's smart electricity now. The same way you want to save current. Like for example, now, like my businesses that have it, I'm using strictly electricity. At night, we turn off. There's some freezers that stay on all through the day. We turn them off at night because we're trying to save costs. Otherwise,
second one,
at the end of the month, I'll be connected.
Thank you. You said something about a lot of people in a low income earner. Have you ever imagined how many staff in a branch of any bank in Nigeria, all banks in Nigeria, at least a branch of a bank will be having minimum 26 staffs, including security and cleaner. Do you know, out of the 26, only 4 or 3 earn more than 500,000? They are all contract staffs.
Yeah,
Do you know how bad it is?
yeah. There was a time we were talking about contract staff employment. I think it was last year or so. We were talking about contract staff, and some banks increased salaries. I don't know what got the tweets were doing.
No. The increments, okay, like Access Bank, for example. I left Access Bank. I used to be a contract staff from Diamond Bank. The funds were part of the people that were demoted then, because there are a lot of shadow deals that were actually not known to the public. Do you know they increased salary when I left then? They increased salary from 100,000 to 125,000. Access Bank.
Yeah. Overall, I don't know. I don't think Nigerians earn enough. I don't think Nigerians consume. I always say that I don't think Nigerians consume. You know, like, let me give you a story. Let's just end the story. You know, I put it on Twitter. I was listening to a podcast about the Airtel, the Indian company Airtel Bharti, and how the guy got his funding, how they were doing strategies in India to compete. And then the guy said they then want to come to Africa. And when they were coming to Africa, they looked at Africa as, they are Africa. So they're going to come to Africa and they will do telecom in Africa. And how they did India to come to Africa. So they come to Africa, they now find out there are countries in Africa. That's a shock. I don't know why they would think that it was one country. And number two, when they now got and did the data, not just that they were there, they said that no, Africans don't spend money. That the difference between the Indian consumer and the African consumer that in India, there's the middle class. So when you reduce the tariff in India, the middle class in India will talk more. So if you want to make more money, just reduce your tariffs. You get more people talking and all that. But in Africa, if you reduce the so if you increase the tariff in Africa, they stop spending. They will just say we're going to manage this data that we have. There's no middle class in Africa. That's what they're trying to say. There's no middle class that you can use to tune your strategy. So you can't come to Nigeria and say, I'm going to reduce my price of telecom. It won't affect anything. They will just not spend. Or we're going to increase our price. What they want to spend is what they will spend. So we have to grow the economy. I completely agree, but the Nigerians in Nigeria just have to earn more. I don't mean NLC going to go on strike to demand for increasing salary. The economy just has to expand, because if Peru is now doing double income, double volume what he's doing, he has to pay his people more. He has to hire more people, and that's consumption right there. Then those people will now pay for house rent. Those people, the house rent people now buy cement. Circular economy. I just think that's just it. The country we can't do this insult on those guys down south unless we build our economy. If we build our economy, then we can't sit down and someone tell us to go back. You know, we just have to build this country. That's just it, really.
That's what I saw when I came back. I was like, man, I'm not going back anymore. I have to build. I have to build and keep building here.
We gotta do that. So you guys are doing it in Nigeria with all the issues. Good job. You guys are real heroes. You guys are really heroes. Yeah, good job. Thanks, Pero. Yeah, I really appreciate you. I'm here. I'm in Nigeria all the time. I know more about Nigeria than you. I that place all the time. Sometimes you don't see me. I don't want to arrest me. So I come and I go. So I am.
What do you arrest me? Don't worry.
No, I don't fear kidnapping. I don't fear kidnapping, but I just
I mean, can you fear just hide yourself? I beg.
Yeah, I know how to move around. I'm there all the time. I do a lot of things there. I do research. I don't come. So yeah, I'm a global citizen. I have the colleagues here. So I'll tell you when I'm coming next time. We can hang out. I want to go to this and this. I'll come. Pero, let's talk. I'm sure I know you, Pero. I know you know them. You know Ediri George. You know Ediri George. Ediri. George. We'll talk. We'll talk after. All right. Thank you, Saz. Thank you, Maz. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here. I really do. Thanks for sharing all the information. We'll meet again next week. Next week, I want to bring in maybe a corporate that will then talk about their research for Nigeria. What are they seeing? Where are they seeing the money going to? I want to bring those guys in so we can understand how they operate. I'm hearing you guys saying we're talking about big book and all that. Let's bring in someone that runs that big book so we can explain to us what they are seeing, and possibly you can gain from it. So that's my plan for next week. But man proposes and all that kind of stuff. But we'll see. You guys take care. Going to be a fantastic week. Let's hope the war doesn't escalate. We need stability. We don't need high and low. We just need stability. That's the plan. All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.